We're here in the final of Masters of Arena 7. Capture Age is bugged for me. I don't know if you casted yesterday, but it keeps the same results from the other games.
Yeah, same here as well. But let me go ahead and reset that.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm doing the same thing on my side here. I know how it goes.
Yeah, all right. So we have Celts for Winchester in the red, or yeah, I guess I put them to red-blue, and then Tato, in the blue is the Franks. And I think this matchup is an interesting one because we're not going to see any bombard cannon nor redemption monks from either of these civs. So you're going to see a little bit more of the other units have a lot more to show when those options are not on the table.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed the non-bomber cannon matchups because there's been a bit of a trend, right, where it's map control in late Castle Age into forward castle, trebs, but then also bomber cannon. So it certainly will shake things up here. But I feel
my bad. Franks have BBC. My bad. I don't know why I forgot that they had it, but the Celts don't.
It's okay. I've never seen you make a bomber cannon with Franks in your life, so
you have Paladin. What else do you need?
But yeah, I feel like for many they might feel like this is a good matchup for Celts, and I think it can be. But Franks definitely have options if they have a little bit more time, like. I think those bomber cannons that we both forgot to mention, a mix of axemen, hand cannons, all those things are still really good with the proper positions. So Winchester, he did such a good job with map control in his series against Veleza. And they both were being creative in how they found it, when they found it, like sometimes prioritizing economy, other times prioritizing more of the map. I think we're going to see big Castle Age plays from Vinch just simply for map control. And if he can get the map control, I think it could be really awkward for Tato.
Yeah, so on that note, like one thing that players really discovered, especially in this tournament, but just recently in general with the AoE meta, is that if you can land a forward castle right when you're about to hit Imp, or right before clicking Imp, you really can set up a treb push and then sit under the castle while the trebs get a ton of value.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Winchester especially wants to accomplish. But in the later stage of this tournament, we saw yesterday with Velez as well, the other player won't let him get that map control as much as they can afford to do so. So we're going to see a lot more Castle Age investment, most likely, from Tato and from Vinch, really, as Vinch wants the map for the forward castle. Tato wants to prevent that. And that's kind of the name of the game in the mid-game in the Castle Age here.
So Franks, it's fairly standard to play into stable units, so it would make sense, especially first game of the series, just go for a good economic approach, add the stable, add light cav, and fight for relic control. But what do you think about Celts? Like, do the Celts try Spearman here? Do they go for light cav? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's I mean, here's the thing. I personally don't like the spear only approach. I think if you go Spearman only with the monastery, you can only really contest a couple relics that are close by. That being said, Winchester has some really good relic spawns. I think he's got 2 really close to him, and 1 that he can easily contest. And if he can just take those 3 with a Spearman approach, that could be interesting. So I wouldn't hate that, but the Spearman approach in general by itself, I think, is very weak to monks, and I think the light cav mobility is just too crucial. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small, like playing devil's advocate slightly. You are Celts, so you have faster infantry, so you could potentially get more value from it. But I agree, players seem to realize that Spearmen just don't kill monks. So the second you see someone going for only Spearmen, you just bring 2 or 3 of your monks together, convert them all, and you're completely fine. So I think Vinch is going to be happy to go light cav. Like, we've seen plenty of civilizations that have really weak stables, like way weaker than Celts. Like Dravidians go light cav because it's all you need. You just need a unit that can compete. And then I still think you're fairly happy overall with your economy for Celts because of the wood chopping bonus. And then you got to see how the engagements go and take it from there. So
yeah, for sure. And it's the kind of thing where, like, Franks have the extra HP on the light cav, but usually you're not really taking all in trades with the light cav. Like, you're not going to fight the Frank light cav if you go like light cav yourself as Celts. You just mainly run around and try to snipe the monks. So both players can definitely go for that approach, and it seems like Winchester dropping this barracks is opting for the stable here as well.
Okay, so this is kind of where my brain goes. I think you open with light cav, hope to get good trades, right? But then when your economy's in a better state, like Castle, that's when I'd like to see pikemen from Celts.
Yeah,
and then you can start taking the map control. Yeah, but the tricky thing for me is I'm not sure if you want to go forward castle against the Franks because the Franks can afford cheaper castles, so they could beat you in the Treb War. Franks could may be expected to have the better imp time as well with all the farms. And then Franks obviously are going to have the bombard cannon. So then it's like, okay, well, maybe forward castle's a little too risky. You want to go defensive castle and give Franks the time to take the map. Maybe you do. Like, maybe Halb and Siege Ram could be really strong later. But all those things will be answered, obviously, as we move throughout the game.
I like it. You're taking the time to think about those things, though, which is kind of cool because that's kind of what the players are also thinking about right now. Keep in mind that, this matchup wasn't something the players can prepare for because of the random bans. So right now, Winchester is going through all these possibilities in his head. And as we said, he's going to go for the stable opening, both players, in fact. But here's the thing. Winchester might decide to actually go forward siege with the Celts in Castle Age. Instead of that forward castle, as you mentioned, it's kind of a little bit dubious against the Franks. But maybe the forward siege could be the way to gain the map a little earlier in Castle Age.
Yeah, I think that is dependent on your engagements, right? So if you take a good engagement and then you have the map, then I think that's an invitation for forward siege. Tato and Vinch both hoping to kind of make sure at the very least it's even with map control. So okay, so we've had the serious intro. Okay, we have a couple minutes till Light Cup start coming out. I'm curious on your thoughts on this. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of the Celts, right? And I'm sure you know that Celts are just not valued highly at all in the pro scene in like any setting except for Force Nothing, which is maybe not the pro scene, right? Their pick rates in the toilet, their play rates in the toilet, their win rates maybe okay on ladder. I actually don't have the data to back that up right now, but it is my opinion. Tell me if you agree with this statement that Celts would have never received the change to their Dark Age infantry if Huang didn't exist. Would it never happen? Do you agree with that statement, or do you think they would have eventually done it anyways?
That's actually a good point. Well, I think if I think of the reason why players gave to change that, it's because since there's only one unit in Dark Age, we don't want to have it be stronger or like too strong or like unique.
Yep.
But I don't think anybody was really abusing that besides Huang, like, to be honest. So it could have been a lot of the players coming to that conclusion because of Huang.
Yeah.
Whether consciously or subconsciously. So I think you have something there for sure.
Yeah, because my thing is, if you look at Celts in general, obviously Arena's a bit different. But, like, there's this point they get to in Castle Age where you're just like, man, what do I transition into? Like, my units are kind of suck. And I feel like for civs like that, you want a little bit more early game advantages. Like Dark Age. You get a little bit more of a lead in Dark Age and Feudal Age, and then, okay, Castle Age things start to taper off a little bit. So as we see a fight here, but I'm like way too opinionated to stop talking about this. I really want to see Celts have their infantry speed back in Dark Age. I especially now that Huang has pretty much left the game. I feel like out of respect for him, the devs need to just put that in the next patch. But maybe that's too much. I don't know.
I mean, I'm kind of with you on that one. Like, here's the thing. Like, we have some civilizations that are like crazy powerful, but then we randomly have this like moral high ground in Dark Age where the militia can never have that extra little bit of speed.
Yeah.
Just because it's unfair. Like, there's so many more unfair things in the game, so I'm kind of cool bringing that back. And I actually hope we get Huang back, because last time I heard, I think he's like, it was a little sick or something, or real life came in the way, so maybe that's the way to draw him back in. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll do the bring Huang back patch.
Yeah, we have to. Well, I mean, Celts did get a woad buff, and this is on this current patch, so late game they're getting a little better, so that's nice.
Yeah, Stronghold as well may or may not play a role here. The new changes there. Vinch went for Husbandry, so he has the additional speed on his scouts. Tato also went for Husbandry though, so he got that a little bit later, and they're actually both like in very separate areas of the map right now, which is kind of funny. Vinch has 2 scouts parked on the right, and then 3 scouts parked in the north, and then Tato's just patrolling those 3 relics in the middle. So both players are patrolling the relics the other player is closest to, which does make sense.
It's something very interesting to note, by the way, real quick, as we see a small engagement here. Winchester runs in for the monk.
Wow, he did not hesitate there at all, and he's going to regret that. That could be a conversion, too. Oof.
Oh, yeah, that's a really good trade for Tato. 3 scouts and only 1 monk down. I think Vinch got greedy going for both there. That was that was a little too greedy for me. But yeah, something Winchester did, he didn't make a monastery. He wanted to see how the trades went and prioritize the 3 DC first. And then if he wins the trades, he then adds the monastery later. But it seems like right now he might just continue booming instead.
Did you watch the Winchester Veleza series?
I watched half, and then I had to go, unfortunately, but I
Okay.
did watch half of it. Yeah. the
Okay,
first half.
we kind of watched Winchester and Veleza figure this whole thing out that Vinch is doing within the last 3 or 4 games. It was really interesting. Veleza did it, and then Vinch was like, that's a good idea. And then he did it. So I really like it because we talked about the importance of map control. And I like when you think about relics, it's a long-term payoff. And I think late Castle Age, early Imp is all in denial of the long term, pretty much. So I think it's a good move. Obviously, though, Winchester, he's not going to be happy he lost the scouts. But the thing I like is that he continues to play with the same energy that he played with yesterday, where he just doesn't hesitate when he sees a monk. He did a much better job yesterday, but Tato had great spear positioning. So
Yeah, I think that was actually more well-played Tato, and a little greedy from Vinch, but
yeah.
I mean, hey, Vinch kind of redeemed himself. He sniped 2 monks over the last couple minutes, so Tato's investment into that monastery didn't pay off. 0 relics for both, but Winchester saved that 175 wood and a little bit of gold on the monastery and monks, so I like his position slightly more right now.
Yep. And now you could consider adding the monastery. He's actually going for university, which is not the building I would have expected from Celts. I would have expected a siege workshop before that.
I don't even know why you'd want a university unless he wants some sort of like chemistry or ballistics if he's planning some archery range play, but that's also a little strange.
I mean, for me, my hotkey for my university, siege workshop, and monastery, they're all right next to each other. So it could have also been for a bit of a, maybe a misclick, but he's going to go siege workshop in the middle. You have to assume that was intentional because he would have deleted it by now.
Interesting to go university over monastery. I mean, I guess it does get siege engineers long-term, guys, so it's not terrible, but yeah, it's definitely a weird choice.
Yeah.
Now it goes for the middle siege workshop. Doesn't hesitate on the monk, as you said. Trades 2 scouts for that 1 monk. Fair.
Oh, so fortified wall, Hero. Of course, we're forgetting fortified wall.
True. That's the plan from Winchester. It makes sense. Actually, we've seen that a couple of times, though.
Yeah, go aggressive and then fall back to fortified wall if it doesn't work out. That's the plan.
You need the plan B here.
Oh, man. I love the timings for Vinch, though, right? Because, like, Tato now saw the additional spears. So Tato's thinking, all right, I need some siege of my own. He's going to add a scorpion. Tato doesn't know that there's a siege workshop from Vinch, though. And the Celt Mangonels are going to be able to flatten that scorpion. And still no relics for Tato after he went for the investment into the monastery. And the resources are climbing and climbing for Vinch. He has his buildings. And he has a nice little position here. And he won't even be too worried about this either. Like, he actually almost kills one of his own vills, but he kills 2 scouts.
Yep, nice.
And he's ready to push a little bit here.
Yeah, and we can already see his plan here with the forward castle. We talked about that at the very start. It goes for a market now. He wants to click Imp and at the same time drop a castle. But it's worth mentioning, Tato has a good amount of stone as well. If Vinch goes a little too far forward with this castle, maybe Tato just wins the Trevor from behind his walls, and then Winchester's just kind of stuck there. So he's got to be careful where he places this castle.
Tato does have a market, and I think the second he sees a forward castle's going up, you've just got to idle everything, sell wood to get some gold, so your imp time's competitive, and know it's going to be that type of game.
Yeah, 100%. I like that you mentioned, like, it's that type of game, because if you just completely ignore the fact that it's like forward castle Treb War, and you're trying to like boom up into some units, you just get flattened before you get anywhere. So you kind of have to play. Like, Winchester's forcing Tato to play exactly the style, but Tato reads the game beautifully, and he's also on the way up to Imp.
The tricky thing for Tato is his stone is rangeable by the siege right now. That really hurts.
Other stones outside as well. And also, I mean, he does have the 1 gold at the back, so that's going to help out a lot. Does add the 4th TC as well now. Wins the Magna War at the front. That's really good. Well played, Tato, there.
Now, this is where it gets interesting. Tato will have to add a university. I feel like that could come up at any point over the next 2 minutes. It just needs to be completed before Imp. And as much as Vinch could probably do some damage, when he breaks through this wall, it's going to be limited in terms of how far he can advance in, and then also in terms of his options. I could see him making a couple Woad Raiders, but he's not even committing to infantry upgrades here. So this whole buildup is just for trebuchets, which do fire faster with the Celts, but you can't counter the bombard cannons if Tato can get there.
Yeah, exactly. And I think a mix of Trebs and bombard cannon from Tato could be the way to push this one back. I'm curious to see what Winchester goes for unit-wise. He's adding some Woad Raiders for the time being. He also picked up a couple relics behind all of this, and he could actually pick up to 4 potentially here.
Yeah, it might be a situation where Vinch is... Well, he's going to... Okay, I was just going to say maybe he wants to plan on falling back a little bit, but that'd be foolish, man. You see all this gold. You see the stone. You're going to be faster to imp. Just YOLO it and hope that bombard cannons won't ever be an option for Tato here.
Yeah, with the second castle forward, he's basically saying, I'm going to kill you before the bombard cannons come out.
Yeah.
And that is a very fair approach to this one here. I'm curious to see how Tato plans to buy himself some time. Do we even have a university for Tato? Oh, he's late on it. That's terrible.
He forgot it. Oh,
wow.
that really hurts.
Yep.
And also siege engineers being researched immediately from Vinch, which is really rare.
Yep.
For
that was the university.
You don't see that every day.
I kind of like it, though, because siege engineer gives range, but it also gives damage. So
yep.
Tato might not expect the kind of damage that these trebs will make right now. You know, Celt, siege, plus siege engineers, these are really strong right now.
Yep. And Tato's going to struggle to get more castles. Tato's going to... He is preemptively dropping more houses because he knows he needs pop space. He's got the ranges ready for hand cannons, but he's like maybe 20, maybe 30 seconds behind what he should have had for the chemistry time. And he's absolutely losing that castle. It's just a question of how much else he loses after the castle goes down.
Yeah, it doesn't opt to go for the repairs, not to keep the castle up or like to save it, but just to kind of buy him time. Decides to just give it up entirely. Nope, now it actually jumps on the repairs, so maybe a little hesitant here. Goes for a castle behind it. Okay.
Interesting. Okay, and he had to sell a lot of res and then buy stone for that. So he's still really hoping he's going to be in a nice position. I think Tato's scrambling a little bit. He's dropping stables now, so he's thinking maybe I need knights. He has one siege workshop, and that siege workshop will be trebbed down, so he won't be able to make more bombard cannons. And Vinch is just all over him right now. And Vinch is going to go for Cavalier right now.
Ooh, the Celt Paladin play.
Let's go.
That's interesting. Yeah, and I mean, it makes sense because the logical response from Tato here is to go for a hand cannoneer to counter the woads or the halb that we expect to see. But behind this, Vinch is kind of one step ahead.
Yeah.
Behind the Cavalier switch. Sick.
Yeah, I want to see him be... It feels weird, but when you have all this golden stone in your vision, I want him to be patient with it. Right? I want the Cavalier to run in when Tato is pushing forward with bombard cannons and is actually threatening the castles. Because I think if you try and force it too much here, Tato can see it and adapt. But you know, so far, I mean, he's getting the stables up, he's getting some upgrades. The trebs have done so much, and he's not really forcing the issue here. So this is great from Vinch.
And if you consider what the trebs have accomplished here, they killed the castle, they killed all the buildings on the front, and they're also forcing Tato off all those minerals at the front, the golds and stones. So I think Vinch has done enough. He doesn't need to really like overcommit here.
Yeah.
But let's see how Tato pushes this one back with the cannons now.
Yeah, Treb does go down to a mangonel and bombard cannon. And this is where Vinch might feel like, well, crap, I need to show my cav. But I think you can, maybe ideally, as he saves this Treb just barely, maybe you can wait a little bit longer. Wait until you have a few more upgrades. Wait until you've got 20 Cavalier before you go in. Just make sure that first attack is so good. Like when you did this back in Hidden Cup days, it was like you had Paladin already, right?
Yeah. I waited till the last
You waited till the last second, yeah. And then your opponent was, there was no way that they could switch into anything else to counter it. There's no waiting for Paladin here, though.
I think one thing that we saw earlier as well, Winchester sniped one of the cannons from Tato. So, I mean, the Treb versus bomber cannon is the dumbest thing. Because Tato now has one less siege unit for just one lucky Treb shot, but in come the Cavalier now.
Yeah, Cavalier should be able to take the siege. And when Tato has all of his gold forward here, that might be all you need. So, Treb down. Bombard cannon may or may not go down. There's some weak cav there, but I think with Cavalier should have enough firepower. And yeah, Tato has to back up off that gold. And oh man, he's got more siege exposed now as well. This could be the end of the game.
Yeah, his hand cannons were so out of position for whatever reason. And in the GG is called 1-0 Winchester. Well played from Vinch. 4 Trebs ready to go as soon as the Cavalier went in. That was definitely part of the push. Take the time that the Cavalier is sniping the siege. Trebs will kill the important buildings, TC and castle. Well played game 1 there.
I think it was really good for Winchester that he got pushed to the 7th game yesterday, man. Like the lessons he learned there against Veleza, the figuring out of the prioritization of relics and boom, like the 3 TCs, slightly contesting relics, but not even trying to make monks. That really helped his boom here in combination with the Celt Eco. And I assume Tato watched the games, but Tato did play that pretty much as everyone would have played in round 1 of this tournament, right? Just go Cav, just go boom. So good stuff from Vinch. I'm sure he's very happy with the start.
You know, one last thing I'll say about this game, I think Tato, he didn't really go into the right comp right away. Obviously, for getting the university kind of sucked, but I think if you planned ahead, kind of knew this was going to be like Vinch's plan as soon as he sees the forward castle, he could have had more ranges. He could have definitely prepared the hand cannon switch a lot earlier. He had 140 vills. You can have like way less than that and way more army.
Yeah.
To the point where even like the Cavalier won't be able to kill like 20, 25 hand cannons. So this was interesting, but I think we did see a little bit of undercommitment from Tato on the composition here.
Well, Tato's favorite thing to do is to go extra army in mid to late castle age to hold the map, and he didn't scout the siege workshop. He had at the time the siege workshop completed, there was just 5 spearmen and 2 scouts from Vinch in the middle. Tato had 3 spearmen and 3 scouts. I feel like Tato in his peak on arena is actually getting the light cav upgrade, getting forging, having a few more units active, having some of your own spearmen. And you just got to contest that timing a little bit. So that is what I expect from Tato in future games.
And here we got Vietnamese for Tato versus for Winchester, and Italians for Tato. So 2 lesser tier arena civs, but still quite strong in their own right.
Yeah. And I think the way I break this down on paper immediately is Vietnamese probably have the better late game. They have rats and archers, which are an insane unit, very difficult to kill. But then you also, if you really have an economy, can go for 420 HP elephants, which good luck with killing that.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I consider the Vietnamese late game to be better, also because of paper money, which might just be a trickle of gold, but still, when the gold's
on
dry,
this map, it matters.
helpful.
I would say.
Yeah.
On most maps, it's a meme, but on this map, it can matter.
Yep. But Italians, another timing situation, right? It's cheaper to go up to each age, cheaper university technologies, and we're always talking about bombard cannons after chemistry. So I think for Tato, he's now has that civilization where late castle age, early imp, he would prefer the map control to be able to really push, take because if he doesn't do that, then Winchester may struggle, he may struggle to kill Vinch. So that's what I think. But what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I think you summed that up pretty nicely, actually. I'm just wondering because Vietnamese don't really play that well into timings necessarily. I mean, they're not bad, but usually, like you said, they like their economy. They have good late game. But Winchester himself as a player loves the map control. So I think he might still try to contest the map against Italians, the faster imp. However, that could actually be a mistake if Italians are just quicker to the draw on that kind of style. So I'm really curious to see how Winchester balances his style versus to what his civilization wants to play out.
I think we're going to see 2 stable light cav from both. Not as an opening, obviously.
Okay.
But I think that Tato's going to recognize he needs some map control. And then he's going to realize, oh man, Vinch is really ramping up the pressure here. And they're just going to match each other with light cav. I think we'll see a ton of light cav here. Almost like the Hippo Arena in NAC where there was more map. And we saw that a lot from Tato, the 2 to 3 stable light cav.
Yeah, and you know what he loves to do as well with that? We haven't seen it in game 1 because he didn't have the opportunity to do so, but the outpost on the side, as soon as he gets like some kind of control on the map, he sends the Vil to either side and just outposts the entire map, and that helps so much with the biggest problem in Arena, which is you don't know what your opponent's going because of the stone walls. If you get outposts everywhere, you see so much more, and instead of that guessing game, you're now playing with certainty, and that's a massive advantage. So I hope we see that this game. A lot of light cap, outposts, kind of fight for that map and that vision.
What's up with Tato's woodline here? He just got ripped off. Just losing 6 trees.
Bro, he got scammed so hard. That's crazy. I hate that, by the way. Inefficiency.
Yeah. I mean, it could be way worse, but, it's slightly annoying. And you have a lot of time to think about it on Arena. You know, if it's a crappy woodline on Arabia, you've got like 6 other things on your mind, and you kind of forget about it, but... Yeah, that's
actually
funny.
One thing I want to talk about, speaking of woodlines, by the way, and I was talking with Dave the other day yesterday about that as well. But Dave wasn't interested in counting lumber camps. I thought, maybe you're the guy. But what do you think about the 1 lumber camp versus 2? Because I have my ideas, but I want to see what you kind of think about it as well.
1 lumber camp is better if you want the TCs early. I mean, if we're talking Arena, Arabia, are we talking Arena?
No, like in this situation, like in this exact situation, Arena.
Yeah, one lumber camp is better if you're going for the early TCs, because you're prioritizing another wood line anyways with the TC. If you're going for a bit of an extended play on one TC, which is typically early monastery and scouts, then you want to go double lumber camp.
Yeah,
that's
so
what I think.
I 100% agree with that. Like, that's exactly what I think as well. But I see players, like especially Winchester here, he's got 2 lumber camps, but he also likes to drop the TCs really quick as well. So my question is this just a mistake that they're not like fully like cleaned up their early game builds? Or does he just like to have the 2 lumber camps? I personally just think it's a mistake, to be honest, because the math shows that like it takes 5 minutes for the second lumber camp to pay off. And within 5 minutes, you already have that second TC rolling on the wood, like earlier than 5 minutes. So I'm really not too sure about that.
But he doesn't spend wood on his eco upgrades with Vietnamese.
So, yeah, but I'd want more wood.
You want more wood?
You
okay,
know?
Gotcha.
Yeah, I don't want to waste the bonus on just getting another lumber camp.
Yeah.
I feel like 1 is more than enough, especially on arena, right? Because like the woodlines you're getting, besides Tado who got scammed the 6 trees, usually you're getting good woodlines. So I think that's the only thing in the early game that I don't really like from like some of the players or some of the styles. But Tado has been doing a little bit more 1 lumber camp, and I think that's good.
I'm shocked that Vinch. I mean, his build is perfect for the barracks stable style here. I'm honestly shocked that he's gone up so late. Like he can rush horse color and bid X and whatnot, but he definitely did float a lot, and he could have been up a bit faster here, which is something that needs to be in his mind when up against the Italians. But dude, we don't have a stable from either of them. Like,
wow, yeah,
they're already like, okay, we need that boom, we need that map control.
I wonder why. Like, I would say that Italians are like the perfect scout civ, like for the relics, because and here we see a barracks now. Well, interesting.
Okay, interesting.
This is
I think actually, how much of this is the map era? He sees 3 relics really close to him, and he's like, "Ooh, I have to try. I have to do something."
Yeah. Because you only kind of scout after you decide your opening, like which buildings you go for.
Yeah.
That could make sense. Yeah. Okay. And I don't hate it, because if your opponent isn't going light cap, then all you need is 2 spears. You never die to his 1 scout, and then you can pick up any relic you want. So that's actually kind of nice if your opponent doesn't commit. But Vinch can see that and then just drop 2 monastery, and all of a sudden he can contest as well because there's no light cap. So
yeah, I think
it's interesting.
In this case, it'll work out really well for Tato, because he is not going to be up against scouts, which does surprise me based on what we talked about earlier. I felt like Vinch would want to have as much map as possible, but that could always be for later, right? For late cast stage, so Tato doesn't push him. And Vinch is going to have the sickest boom, dude. The sickest boom. He'll have immediate. He'll immediately be on 3 TCs. He'll have wood, farm upgrade, and food to be able to produce villagers, and maybe even wants to squeak in a 4th TC. I don't know if I like that, but it's possible if he wants to buy the stone here in a second with his gold miners.
I would have loved the 4TC before I saw what the meta was and people going for that forward castle. Because like 4TC boom just feels so nice. And he's actually going for it. Okay, I'm interested in this. Is that why up late? Just
that would make sense boom? Then.
Yeah.
It feels like it's some level of calculated then if he is choosing to go for the 4 TCs. All right, so I have a question. I believe I know the answer, but tell me if you even know, because it's hard to pick up on as a player. If you're upping to the next age, do you pre-queue the villager after that age ahead of time, or do you do it right before you hit that age?
I usually just pre-queue it as soon as I can afford it, without like hurting the rest of my economy.
I do the same, but there's so many players that don't, and it stresses me out to no end, dude. like I try and watch Slam stream to relax at night, and he never queues the Vil. And I'm just looking at his queue, and I'm just like, ah. Oh. And like Winchester and Tato both did the same thing. And that 1 second on my screen of idle TC is it's burning my eyes right now.
Yeah,
not a big deal.
It's obviously a small thing, but there's actually just no reason to not queue that villager. So I can see why it bothers you as a caster.
Yeah, it irks me.
One thing I noticed as well, and I remember speaking with the AM guys about this as well, is that if you watch tournaments, right, these are the best of the best, right? But when you have the best of the best against each other, because of how intense the micro can get, a lot of times you see the idle TC ramp up like a lot more than you'd expect in regular ladder games, for example.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that could definitely be improved, But then Leary told me that idle TC doesn't matter nearly as much as you think it does, because it's the short-term benefit of focusing on the microfights just pays off way more than the idle TC. So
yeah, I agree.
It's definitely an interesting discussion there.
Yeah, and that is something that I've realized, because I have amazing idle TC time, but then I don't have the army and I don't have micro, and then I just have eco and die. So
yeah, you have 10 bills, but what do you have to show for it? You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it is a prioritization of time thing, right? And Leary's perfect example of that, right? Because he's so good with his getting value from his units.
He's all about that. By the way, Tato didn't go for a monastery until now. He just drops in now, so 16 minutes, so a few minutes after Castle Age. And Winchester, no concern about that. He's actually at the limit resource-wise, but he's already on a little bit of stone, getting that economy rolling. Already has wheelbarrow as well.
I think you build up here for a defensive castle, because Rats and Archer is one of the best units you can have here. If you're Vietnamese, instead of a forward castle. Against Italians, where it's cheaper to go imp and cheaper to get chemistry, I think a forward castle would be quite risky, as Vinch is going to try and trap Tato in there, and Tato doesn't fall for it. That's a lovely move.
I love that trick. It's so cool. As soon as I remember seeing that trick for the first time, and I was like, wow, I fell for it, and I was like, wow, that guy's a genius. It was against Eddie back in Arena. I was like, that was sick.
Yeah. Yeah, what's even better about it, too, is if you do it right, you could save your scout in Vinch's position, and then if you have a monk, you just convert their scout, so they're forced to delete it.
That's like the ultimate play. But even 1-for-1 is usually worth it if you're running. Let's see. I mean, Tato only has a 3 TC, but he's gonna play for the relics instead of a 4th. Now going on to stone, and I do kind of agree with you. I feel like Winchester can easily just go defensive castle, and he will lose the relics, but if you can just chill at first and then push back with like the ultimate Vietnamese late game, like Wrath and Archer, Light Cav, BBC, then maybe you can just steamroll Tato, even though he's got the relics.
Yeah, Tato also with the correct play here. I believe he's like, okay, my opponent's booming as well. He hasn't contested the relics with scouts, so he likely is, at least on 3 town centers. And I added the barracks, I added the monastery, I have added more things than he has, so we have to assume his economy is better in some way. Now he goes for that siege workshop, but Vinch notices the siege workshop, which I think is a big part of this. Remember, Tato didn't notice the forward from Vinch earlier, and while Vinch loses the scout, he now has a heads up, and he's calculated that he would need this stone. So he should be okay here to just drop a castle behind his walls.
And I think Tato's going for the wrong approach. He's going to go for... I like the siege workshop, actually, but I think he wants to do the forward castle fast imp thing, which makes sense if you're Italians, but I don't know if that makes sense when you have 5 relics. You guarantee have the weaker economy. If you try to force the issue too early, you could risk getting cleaned up here. And I think Tato's going for that, and that could be a problem for me.
Yeah. I like what this position gives him. I like the outposting you mentioned earlier. I don't like the ram at all. I think Tato's just trying to scare Vinch into overreacting. But I suppose if you ram down the wall and then the mangonel comes in and then you deny the castle, you do look like a genius.
Ambitious, though.
Yeah.
Those walls are strong. They take a long time to work your way down. I think that just the mangonel would have been enough, but fair enough.
But Vinch's eco balance, he had to pull villagers off of gold to make the castle in that spot. He hasn't clicked up to imp yet. That is now a target for Tato that he can see because of the outpost. So, I mean, if Tato could get a castle down near his siege workshop right now and, rush in chemistry and go bomber cannon treb, it actually might be pretty decent, and Vinch won't be able to make rat sends.
Ooh, and he's getting armor on infantry. That could be a condottiero play. It's almost certainly going to be a condottiero play, actually, for Tato, which are quite a strong early imp unit. And combining that with a forward castle could be a deadly push. That being said, though, it comes down to just Vinch now having the stronger economy as well. And I hope Tato doesn't overcommit to this. You've got the relics. I mean, he's still picking them up really slowly, but he's going to have the 5 relics. I don't think he needs to go all in right here. But that castle position says he's going to all in right now.
Yep. Yeah, and the university is up, so chemistry could come in. And honestly, Harold, we're going to see a lot of different civs, but I think this is going to be the trend in every game today. Late castle age, early imp timings.
Yeah, it's too crucial. I think Winchester has the right approach here, though. I really like that we have a slower imp, sure, but we have a lot of options to go for that could actually just defend the push that Tato has.
Yeah. And if he could just hold the initial push, keep even one of his castles up, and have some Ratons that could just dive in underneath castles here or there, snipe a bomber cannon or two, it could be really nice. But I think the key here is he needs to have army that has some utility beyond just going Trebs and cannons himself, because Tato should win the race to the Trebs and cannons.
Yeah, exactly. No, I definitely agree with that. In fact, I think only going Ratons could kind of be an issue as well.
Yeah.
Because if the castles start getting hit, then what do you do, you know?
Yeah, and I feel like, while Raton Archer is amazing and I'm in love with the unit, Castle Age Ratons are not anything to get excited about. You really need Elite Raton, and you almost need full upgrades before this unit feels as beastly as everyone says it is.
I think Thumb Ring is also just really important on this unit. It doesn't attack that fast without it. Now we see double barracks now. It's like second barracks drop for Tato, second armor. It's going to be Condottiero Trebs, and then chemistry, as you mentioned as well. So the push, definitely quite strong for him here.
Yeah, maybe even like Light Cav could have worked for Vinch. It feels weird against Italians, but something to dive underneath the castles and help out against bomber cannons. Wow, that is an interesting castle from Tato. But again, clearly his plan is just continue to push this home, and he's got 2 Trebs before Vinch has even deployed his 1. And he's going to have a cannon coming out of the Siege Workshop here in a second, so...
It's so risky, though. Like, you've got the 5 relics, and he's still committing to this. Vinch has an extra 20 bills. Committing to Pikeman Skirm, though. What is this? Pikeman Skirm for Vinch? What?
Yeah, Vinch is like, I don't know what he's doing. I haven't seen anything. So let's just get options, you know? Let's just have some things available. His main gold's under threat. His main castle's under threat. Tato's going to have... He's getting Pavise now, which does affect the condos. And Tato could run right into Vinch's Eco once that castle's down. He could run right past it. Maybe even run in and take a Treb if he wants to.
Yeah, lucky for Vinch, he still has that castle behind it as well. So you could still fight around that. But the condos are going to come as a surprise. Maybe wait for more. Tato's sending in 6. Maybe wait for more, though, to be honest.
Yeah, maybe he senses some blood in the water here, right? And he's like, his gold is there. I got to push him now, make a lot of these other actions that Vinch has to make more difficult for him. And his mango goes for the Ratons. Ratons have to micro. The condos then go in for a Treb. That's huge.
That's pretty big, yep.
Pikemen are not going to do anything for you here.
No,
if you're Winchester.
Not at all.
So
I think he's panicking. He's going to go for the crossbows now. He just didn't think of condos one bit, which kind of a mistake, but kind of a brilliant play from Tato as well to hide those and not show a single barrack or a single upgrade.
And Tato sees the siege workshops now, so he's like, okay. So he's scrambling now to get bomber cannons out. And this seems to be where Tato is taking more of a more relaxed approach here. Like, he doesn't want... He already has a lead. He has the 5 relics, like you said. So now he doesn't want to overcommit. I love this. Attack round between the siege workshops. Damage both of them at the same time. Vince, just make new ones, dude. Just don't even play this game. Just make new ones.
That's so brutal. Kills one, can kill the other as well now. Ratden's coming out, though. Oh, that could be really good.
6+3 attack, still 6 range. Condos are going to be there, too. I wouldn't want to be microing in that scenario if I were Vinch.
Yeah, absolutely not. Also, yeah, those siege workshops should have been at the back.
Yeah,
Winchester just kind of rushed it. He's not even in a bad position if he can get his resources onto the field. He's prioritizing, what, paper money right now? That's crazy. That's wild to me.
Hey, he's got a lot on wood. Spent a lot of his wood on these siege workshops, but finally gets a couple cannons out. But Tato, he seems to just have all the control over the game. Micros his 3 cannons in the north, kills a cannon there from Vinch. The 4 Trebs on the castle from Winchester. Paper money does complete, though, folks, so don't worry about that. But yeah, this is rough for Vinch. I think there's just too many things happening for him right now. He has too little space in the back, which is probably part of why he made the siege workshops where he did. And the pressure is just too much to stop at this point.
Vinch actually has a good amount of builds, good amount of economy, like a lot of resources left, but he couldn't get them on the field in time. Obviously, that's credit to Tato killing all of his buildings as they're coming up. And Tato also shifted the Trebs to the other side of the map, so now he's pressuring on the top and on the bottom, and Vinch's base is collapsing very fast right now.
Yeah. And yeah, his TC is going to go down, and Tato's just dropping more and more barracks, and there's no reason to stop with condo production because it's working. GG and Hera, that's 2 games now where the losing player has not really had a lot of map control, and they're gonna fix it. Okay, they're gonna fix it. Like both players must realize now that we can't try and play imp timings by just bracing ourselves and building castles in our base. We just can't. There's gonna be tons of light cap. It's gonna happen.
I definitely agree with you. Here's the thing. I actually feel like optimal play, Vinch wins this game. But it's so much easier for Tato to play his position. And he's got a lot more options. He's hiding them, so there's no vision for Winchester. And so he's got so many tools at his disposal that if Winchester makes mistakes, like we saw the pikeman, the skirmisher, if Vinch starts, committing to the wrong units, then Tato will get the snowball and it's gonna win. It's gonna work out.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like there's just so many small things that can go wrong when you're playing defensive. Vince dropped a castle because he saw the siege from Tato, which I loved, by the way, because then he pulled 15 villagers off of gold. He didn't have the gold for imp when he maybe could have. Delayed that ever so slightly. In his mind, he's like, rats and archers are insane. So he makes those and then realizes, oh no, I'm going to lose my castles. Like, that stuff happens because Winchester doesn't have full vision on the map. So just make life easier for yourself and have army in the middle, I think, is the key. And I think both players have learned the lesson. We'll see, though. Here's the deal. A couple things we need to mention here. There was a patch recently which nerfed the Janissary for the Turks. It took them down to 7 range in Castle Age instead of 8. Yeah. That is not the patch we are playing on here. We were playing on the previous patch. So this is the Janissaries we all know and love. Jury's still out, and people know and love the current ones. I want to talk to you about that, but anyways, so I think that is an option here. It is an option you probably like a little bit less against Ethiopians because Ethiopians have really fast firing archers. And the other thing to mention is Turks also get light cav for free. So will we finally see Winchester get light cav in this final? He's got to get it, but will he use them, I guess, is the main question.
Yeah. I mean, we did see Tato do pretty good job with unique units. So maybe Janissary early game could be a good option.
Yeah.
But that's a big commitment because if you go Janissary, you're getting a castle. Yeah. You're not getting the stable. That being said, though, I feel like the stable is just a safer option with Turks.
Yeah, I think so too. It's easy on your eco. Both games have been booming up towards imp. You can maybe try and change that here, but especially with how amazing Vinch has been with his light cav micro, like he got into his opponent's base with random light cav, I think 4 times if you combine the quarterfinal and the semifinal, and I think collectively killed like 12 vills and like 4 monks. Like when he gets in there, I don't know if you saw the series he played versus Doubt. Did you see that?
I did actually. Vinch Doubt. Yeah, I did.
Okay, well he had the one light cav that was on like 30 HP originally.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. The guy who got in.
Yeah, he killed 4 villagers.
That was hilarious. I actually thought as he walked in, I was like, oh, that's kind of a mistake. But then he killed so many vills that I was like, okay, I mean, I guess it paid off,
Yeah. My favorite one there ended up being a really good engagement for Winchester in the middle. So obviously, he's still got weak light cap hiding in Doubt space. Big engagement in the middle. The same moment that engagement happened in the middle, he sent that very same light cav that had already killed 2 vills and was on 2 HP to Doubt's farmers. And because Doubt was focused on the main engagement in that moment, that 2 HP light cav killed 2 more villagers. I was like, oh man, that's amazing.
I missed that part of the lore, to be honest.
Yeah, dude, I was all over it.
That's the Doubtest thing to happen.
I was all over it.
That's so depressing, especially like after the fight, like you trade it's even, and then you look back and there's just 2 more dead vills.
I know.
It's so depressing.
Yeah, and what made it worse is immediately after Doubt realized, he clicked with an unloomed vill on the light cap and one-shotted it. So in Doubt's mind, he got to see how easy it would have been to avoid it.
Yeah, just hit that guy.
Oh, it was so good. I love stuff like that.
We see Tato going double lumber camp, and now Winchester only 1. Oh, but he's on stone, so he wants to go Janissary here. Okay, interesting.
There is a build where you could go, if you're worried about map control and you want a forward castle, you could go like 3 or 4 light cav with a forward castle as well. But that is a build that I'm seeing a lot from, let's say, players who are Titans League silver or gold quality. So like not in the top 24, but more so like maybe 24th to like 80th right now.
Yeah,
right?
guys like MBL and Nikov for sure.
I love it.
Yeah. But I actually know about that build, and I think it's not even a bad option. But it's a little like people usually like to greed a little bit more. Especially at the top level. Like if you go for a strategy, they like to invest as little as possible to accomplish as much as possible, basically.
Look at what Tato's doing. Tato's going to stone, which is not common for the Ethiopians, as much as we love the Shotel Warriors. This is a fast castle from Tato into see if my opponent's going to do something funky. And then if he does, I will drop a forward castle, a defensive castle at my base and try and just keep myself safe from this. This is really unique.
Interesting. But here's the thing. You don't actually need a mining camp with Ethiopians to click up. You get the 100 gold for free.
Yep.
So by going onto stone, he's actually hurting his initial early game or his initial boom. But it does give him that flexibility of having, just in case, some guard towers, a castle, whatnot. Yeah. I don't hate it, but I also don't like that either. I feel like I'd rather just boom up and then go for 100% adaptation. But I mean, that being said, he doesn't have any stone in the back, so maybe he has to do this.
He has to, yeah.
Yeah.
So against, it was against Valis yesterday. It was Portuguese versus Teutons. And John Slow and I both thought there's no world where Valis doesn't go double monastery here as Teutons. And Tato, we believe, expecting that, we didn't ask him, went 2 on stone. And then when he realized his opponent was going scouts, he didn't make the castle. He just dropped the TCs and just, kind of saved the stone for later. So I think based on what Tato sees here, we'll decide on how he wants to play this. This is clearly not enough where he's going to make a castle right away in Castle Age. But if he were to have not gone to stone at all, and then he feels like he desperately needs a castle, it would be too little too late, I think. I think that's kind of the idea.
Why would you want the castle anyway? Like, what's the approach? Do you want the castle to make Shotel Warriors and defend versus the Janis, or the castle to just like hold the base and let you boom freely? Like, kind of hold like the minerals at the front?
Well,
I guess that's the right approach.
I was thinking hold the base, but now that he's dropping a barracks, I'm kind of reminded of the fact that Tato did go forward castle against Viper 2 games in a row.
But it should tell the unit that you want to do that with. Like, I'm actually a fan of the Shotels. They're pretty good, but I'm not convinced that that's going to be enough here.
Well, if it's a forward castle from Turks, it relies on the threat of the Janissaries and then the fast imp potential. But if you have your own castle in defense and some stone walls, you could beat Turks to imp maybe. Now, that might not be a way you want to play the game, right? I think Turks feel so comfortable in that imp race, but just trying to think about it. I mean, he's really banking up the stone, dude. Like, you're right. If this doesn't have immediate benefit to him, these 4 villagers being on stone could have been on any other resource.
Yeah.
And could have provided him a much better economy for whatever plan he's going to go for.
There is a world where he himself goes forward castle if he sees Winchester on light cap, because he's adding 2 spears, and those become pikemen. So if those become pikemen, and he sees Winchester going light cap, then maybe his plan was to he himself go for the forward castle, and then Shotel Warriors against light cap feel pretty strong. But Winchester going for the castle himself, I don't know if Tato's necessarily expecting that.
Yeah, I think he would. Between the 2 strategies, castle and unique unit and light cap, he would assume Vinch would go light cap. I think most people would.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that. Turk light cap, you're making use of a free upgrade, so it's why not. We see castle at home for Winchester.
Yep.
That is an interesting one. Okay.
And he kind of hides it too. He doesn't build it near the front of his base, which is important
here.
I like that. Vinch gets hit by the pikes. If he's in the dark on this, oh man.
Wow. That is sloppy. I mean, that's a mistake that should not happen. That your only unit's down, and that's the only light cap you're going to have for a long time here. That really hurts.
And look at Tato. He goes, okay, I haven't seen more units. So now we go TCs. And I think when the pressure starts to come in, and he'll find out about it eventually, he's going to be so happy with himself that he was on stone because he could just go, boop, castle. Doesn't need to worry about it, and then his eco is going to be really strong behind this.
Yeah, it's actually like you said, he mined stone just in case, and he just went for the economy now that he saw nothing.
Yeah.
So what Tato's doing here is that he's sacrificing quote-unquote optimal play for more flexibility, which in the tournament finals, where it's only best of 7, I think that flexibility matters for quite a lot. And now it's going to pay off because he's going to see the Janissary siege push.
Yep.
And a defensive castle is fantastic to hold that kind of attack.
This is amazing. This is so cool to see. And I feel like there's not many players who would ever do this. Instead, what you would see from the majority of players is they would go full boom, but they would drop one of those town centers on stone. So right now, they'd be at around 80, maybe 100 stone, mining it. But there's a world where the timing isn't correct then, and you might need to use the market or really panic to get your castle up. But
yeah,
this should be completely fine for Tato, and he's already starting to house wall towards this TC. He will have to decide on his castle spot, probably based on where the push initially comes in from Vinch, but still, it's... I love stuff like this, man. Like, Tato is so fun to watch. It's amazing.
Wow.
Hello?
Those guys had ballistics. That was crazy. Yeah.
How did that happen?
That was insane. Yeah, fair enough, I guess. Listen, no one having the scouts is actually still fine for Tato. So like, he doesn't really need the scout. He saw everything that there is, so it's fair. But Winchester not having his scout is a big deal, I think, because like that light cap is super annoying, and now the castle comes down. Little too far behind, I think.
I agree.
2 tiles forward would be much better, by the way.
Yeah, because now Vinch could take the wall down, and then he could kind of look elsewhere to see where he can do damage. I think if you had the castle further forward with fletching, Vinch might not want to be in there because he could be trapped. So this gives Vinch more possibilities than I think we initially thought. But Tato is stonewalling behind the houses.
Yeah, so taking precautions. But, he did cause... that is costing him a lot of potential problems in the future, having that castle a little further back.
Yeah.
That being said, I'm actually curious to see if he invests into Châtels eventually. Now, of course, the economy is at the limit. He's made the castle, but barely enough to keep the town centers running for now. But with the 15 vil advantage, he will be able to eventually get more res in the bank. So Châtel production could be an option. Otherwise, just going towards Imp is a solid approach as well here.
Yeah, that having been up against this many times, I feel like Vinch is going to be able to find some value here. Like, the barracks he's going to see as a weak point. Tato's still a long way from Imp. And Tato is not mining any more stone now, so it's not like he could drop a guard tower somewhere, like near his TC on the left. But I think when you see the castle, once you're through, it's a bit weird that Vinch hasn't been using his mango to help out there.
Yeah, kind of
once you see the castle... You have to try and find more damage, but you stop making Janissaries now because you want to save food to be able to go Imp. I think.
Yeah, probably. I think that's the right approach as well. I mean, he might want to see first because now this is what we're talking about. Tato having the castle further back, Vinch just sees an opportunity to run past. So maybe Vinch is just happy with this and he can continue pressuring. Maybe he thinks he can do a lot of damage from here. But I think the safe play is to stop making gens, as you mentioned. And now we see Winchester going for a town center. I hate that town center position, though. I don't think that's good at all.
Outside your base. Well, I guess he wants stone, but still, it's a bit weird.
Yeah, it's a bit risky. But I do like the fact that he's adding one.
I like the fact he's getting relics as well.
True.
And zero hesitation from him. He got through a stone wall once. He's going to get through it again. And Tato's hoping to get to Imp now, but it's Imp with no army. So he's going to eventually want to make crossbowmen. And eventually hope to compete in Bomber Cannon War or whatever. But the 20 vil lead that's there for Tato, it could all disappear if he doesn't protect himself from this.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no units you can really make in Castle that beat Janissary Maginot, by the way.
Yeah.
Your crossbows get outranged. So yes, you could win in an open field, but like versus Jans and Maginots, no way.
Which is why they were nerfed, by the way. This is why the devs brought them down to 7 range. I think some people are upset about that. I would have liked to see them change the cost of it, make the unit more expensive, but keep the good stats of the unit. But
no,
8 range in Castle
Age
is 8 range in Castle Age is rough. Like, you're outranging TCs and everything, and Turks have so many other good bonuses for closed maps. So,
and I feel like they already with the Jan, I feel like they already nerfed the other unique units as well.
Yeah.
So now they're just nerfing Janissary. So where unique units are still usable, but they're not as oppressive. And I think Jans are good against knights, and now they're still going to be good against knights, but they're just slightly weaker or more fair against crossbows, against Mangonels, against Skirms, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yep. So Winchester, this might be the last time we see 8 ranged Janissaries used in a tournament. You want to clickbait it a little bit? the last time this unit was used. OMG.
You're never seeing the Jans this distance from a TC hitting it. It's never gonna happen in a tournament ever again. Sick. Yeah, Winchester's a lot later to Imp, by the way. He's actually adding in more Janissaries.
And more eco,
Yeah. So, but here's the thing. If he goes for a heavy castage play and mixes in Light Cav, I don't hate that either. Turk Light Cav is basically an Imperial H unit with the extra Pierce armor.
It's true. I think he's going to have a decision to make, though, right? Because sometimes when you see your opponent's hits Imp and you haven't even clicked, you might think, ooh, actually, I might need to just like slap down some stables and go for it, or I need to stop production of everything and go Imp. Good luck here, Tato. That's never really had any hopes of doing any damage, but TC does kill one unit, so that's nice.
Yeah, Vinch, I don't think Vinch is expecting a Mangonel there. It's like no one makes Mangonels against Jans because of the range, but here, Tato goes for one, and it's going to be a crossbow opening. So now Winchester sees the Imp, like you said, the decision gets made. He's going to go Imp himself. 3 minutes later, and with 20 less vills. However, he does have the current push, and in theory, Turks should have the better late game. So this game is still 50-50 in my opinion.
There is a part of this I don't like for Vinch, and that's the fact his monastery's in the middle. If that monastery's back at home next to his castle, I like his position a whole lot more. Like, I like the new castle he just placed, because he knows he's going to have to brace himself at home. But yeah, we'll see. Nice shot from Vinch. He took out the TC, so now it's 2 TCs for both. And Tato still is going to need some time to build up, but Tato's been using his crossbowman in the middle. Look at that. He's like, okay, I can't fight that big army yet, but maybe I can find some value. And the pikeman killed a monk earlier after killing a bear as well.
that was sick. That pikeman's the hero, and that's actually denying one of the relics, so that's kind of high impact. But yeah, relics being in the center means that Winchester is going to be a lot more inclined to fight for the middle and not just camp behind his walls here. He doesn't have the time to move them back either, I believe.
I mean, the crossbows have 8 range, the Janissaries have 8 range, but the Janissaries have 17 attack.
Crazy stats on those guys.
They're insane. It's a Castlade unit. There's some units in the game, usually it's gunpowder, where you don't see the elite version researched at a pro level that much because the base version is already so strong. And they prefer to just invest into other things, but we haven't seen Vinch really invest into other things yet.
Now, the only advantage Tato has in these kind of fights is the ballistics factor. Obviously, gunpowder, no ballistics for that, but crossbows do have it. So if you can micro well use the ballistics, it could be a good trade for him. That being said, Tato is slowly pushing out of his base, and he's making a monastery of his own. So his target is the relics right now.
And he sees the siege, and this should be pretty easy pickings here for Tato. Good patience, though, because there is a little bit of worry that Vinch could land a shot, especially before any armor upgrades are in for you. And barracks now from Tato, so he is expecting light cav, but it is going to be strictly bombard cannon from Winchester as the opening, which I love. I think it's really good.
Yeah. I think Tato's overestimating Vinch's economy, by the way. 70 vills is not something to brag about here. And I think Tato going for the pikeman here, I mean, you kind of have to, because if Vinch somehow has the hussars, then Tato's in big trouble. So I can see why he had to. But I think he's definitely overestimating what Winchester has at the moment. And Winchester's big, I guess, game-changing technology is the extra range on the bombard cannons, I'd say.
I personally... I like to see him max out on Arb, right? Just get the Arbalest upgrade first, but it's never a bad thing to just click that Halb upgrade. Just make sure it's there, because Halbs do so much damage even without the upgrades because of the bonus damage. It's sometimes you find yourself in a position where you forgot to get it or it's too late. So
yeah, and it costs 600 gold. So if you don't get it early in the late game, like for Trash Wars, you might not just be able to find the 600 gold for it. So it's kind of like you said, just never bad to grab that. It always pays off at some point here. Let's take a look at the fights, though. So far, better for Winchester, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Tata's going to be like, ooh, relics. I need those relics. That's so
those
important.
Are huge. Yeah, definitely just play for those, 100%.
Remember, #1 pick for Vinch. And the way the draft plays out, he got the very first pick, and then Tato got the 2 next picks, and we're looking at #2 pick for Tato, but it's on his first wave, so you could consider it like #1 as well, I suppose. The order doesn't necessarily matter. And big shots from these bomber cannons. And we're not finished yet with the Turk strength here because artillery could eventually come in, which makes these 14 range cannons.
Yeah, and that's when they become insane. Ooh, good shot. It's worth mentioning. Torsion engines is a tech here for Ethiopians, giving their bomber cannons and all siege really higher blast radius. So even though their cannons will be outranged by 1 in post-imp, the torsion engine and bomber cannons could be still a force, a strong force in terms of siege in late game here for as Winchester snags the relic, by the way, which is kind of cool. Give me one of that.
It is harder to play as the Ethiopians right now, I think, than it is Turks. Not sure if you agree with that statement, but just because of the strength of the cannons. Like I would take the range on the cannons over the potential of Torsen engines all day.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I also think... Oh, good dodge. Let's go, Tato. That was sick.
That was amazing.
Oh, I was waiting to see him die. He just turns around. That was sick. So 1 relic goes back there for Tato. That's sick.
Yeah, we have cannons now with their range. Tato will probably notice this after he loses a couple units. And you just... I feel like Winchester could just chill out, expand his eco, build up towards that Hussar switch or Cav Archers. I think Hussar is the safer play because the upgrade's free, so you get more immediate value. And Vinch is slowly creeping forward, and Vinch is going to end up having 3 relics most likely, which is not as good as it should have be, I think, but it's still more than Tato, and he's got nice vision potential on the right if he starts to make outposts. He's done a really
Tato
good job.
going Ethiopian skirmish, by the way, and the reason for that is that Arbalest costs gold, and Arbalest aren't getting value. They're just getting sniped by the cannon. So if you're going to get sniped anyways, go for the cheaper long-term units. Gold is becoming, or gold and stone, becoming the most crucial resources going into late game here.
Tato doesn't know there's a castle there, so if he goes too far in that way, his cannons could find him. Oh, he's got a micro. Vinch with an attack round misses. Tato gets in close. Tato will absolutely get cannons here. Can he get all of them? Oh my god.
Great micro from Tato. He dodged all the shots. Vinch just even read the attack rounds, but just couldn't quite connect. Well played from Tato there. That's a big switch.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to take a long time to get more cannons. Tato says outrange that.
Like, yeah, I'm coming in, bro. Let's go.
Yeah, that was beautiful. And
he's still... Dude, Tato's micro is hella underrated, by the way. Especially with the crossbows here. He's doing a great job with that.
Does have a lot of weak ones. He has 467 HP out of 960 on these arbs, so he's just 1 or 2 big shots from Winchester's gunpowder away from losing everything. But he senses there's blood in the water. This is an opportunity for him now to try and push the castles. And Vinch needs to... I think he's okay, but I think he needs to reposition behind his castle with his cannons through his own gate to be able to truly contest this. Because if he goes this way...
I agree with you, yeah.
Tato could just go in again.
Now you're saying, I want to take the fight. If you go from where the castle is, just saying, I'm just going to hold. And I think the answer is just holding for now. Winchester goes for the fight, though. He's actually just not even scared of it. Big shot, though. Wow.
Yeah, and he's repairing his castle, so he's confident he can hold this. Tato does have 3 cannons he needs to micro. He micros the wrong one, but now Winchester's going to lose the only one that could defend his castle, but in the process kills the majority of those weak arbs. So the army count's super close right now.
Tato really wants to keep that castle up, by the way. He's repairing with a lot of bills.
Tato has to back away here. It looks like he doesn't have any arbs anymore. He's got 3s, just making some skirms, and the cannons are still so much stronger for Vinch, and Vinch will take out the trip. Yeah, and all those cannons are going to go down. One even came out of the workshop. Winchester closes the gap. This is the return. Big win of the siege clear up, I guess, for Winchester here. Tato got the first one. Now Winchester gets another one, and it's kind of a reset here. Ooh, Tato, this could be over quick. Tato has a bomber cannon in queue in this siege workshop. Oh man, it would have been, obviously Vinch didn't know a cannon was coming, but it would have been really good for Vinch if Tato would have created that. And this sucks. Torsion engine after losing all your siege. Like this, Tato, that was so bad for Tato right now. I don't even think it was a bad play from him. It's a good play to move out, but I didn't think he recognized the danger, and he didn't respect Vinch's army enough, and he's paying the price for it now. He tried to be incredibly creative in this game to get an eco lead and beat Winchester to imp, and still Winchester realized my composition is so much stronger. He had the patience to fall back and drop the castles defensively instead of overcommitting to the front, and I'm just not seeing an easy way back for Tato here. He doesn't have as many siege workshops anymore. He's dropping more ranges, and I think it's been clear that skirm is just not cutting it. It's not going to work against as many bombard cannons.
Because the skirms do 1 damage to bomber cannons, I believe, which is obviously really low. Actually, no, 2 damage, but still.
Yep.
Now we see the Turks, 14 range cannons outside your door.
Yeah. I can't make skirmishers and I can't make pikes. Who cares? That's what the Turks say, man.
Yeah, they have everything else.
Yeah.
And you know, it actually comes back to the fact that Tatotech Halb made a few of them, got some armor, got 0 value from them because Winchester just didn't go Hussar. Simple as that.
And now you're stuck on skirm as your only option, and Winchester's getting the upgrades, and we'll be mixing in the Hussar as the finishing blow.
Yeah.
But again, another game where the aggressor has found success here because it is so hard to play optimally when you don't know exactly what your opponent's doing. You don't know exactly what their eco looks like. So it was calculated aggression, but still.
Yeah, you don't know what their eco looks like. If Tato just had the chance to see the Vil number from Winchester, saw the position, he would never have went Halb. He'd get torsion engines a lot earlier, and maybe this whole game gets snowballed out of control, and Tato just wins after grabbing those relics in the center, for example, and the whole game completely shifts. But I mean, let's see. Tato's still fighting. He's at 150 pop, but now the Hussars are coming, and this is when there's the complete composition for Turks right now.
Yeah, look at Tato, Showtell Warriors trying to raid the gold in the side. I do like that.
Nice.
So that that could contribute a little bit, but at the end of the day, Vinch is taking so much gold and stone on the map, and Vinch is being as patient as he can with these Hussars. Maybe he needs to just send them in now.
Yeah, I don't think you have to wait, actually.
Yeah, Tato's getting some big shots with Torsen engines here. There's 2 weak cannons you could maybe snag. Unfortunate for him, and now he finds out Hussars here in the worst way possible.
Here's the thing, though. If Tato can just go back right away, he's got some Halbs in the queue right now. You can actually hold this Turk composition with trash units if you play it right.
Yeah.
Halb and Skirm is correct for Tato right now.
Yep. He did.
Big engine shots.
Oh,
gets 2. That was huge.
Wow, Tato not giving up yet, and like you said, Hera, eventually the gold runs dry, and it can run dry really quick for Turks, even with 3 relics. 3 relics is not enough to have this many bomber cannons and Janissaries out in the field consistently.
Exactly, yeah. People think relics are infinite gold, and it's true to some degree, but it's a slow trickle of infinite gold here, especially when they only have 3 of them, and Turks heavily rely on that gold. So if we can get it to the point where Winchester can't afford to make tons of cannons, only has 1 or 2, then all of a sudden, Tato's army might actually be stronger here, because he's spending less gold on it.
Yep. Final armor upgrade isn't in on the caveat for Vinch. He's not working on... Oh, he is working on Elite Jans, actually. I didn't see he got that upgrade. So that's...
Yeah, he picked it up right before the fight. Like, before he won that fight, he got Elite Jans.
That makes sense then.
Very crucial.
He's going to start to get attack upgrades now for the Hussars, so he's getting closer to full strength there. Tato is... I don't know how much upgrades really matter here on the Halbs, because it feels like they either hit a Hussar or they don't, but he's behind on some upgrades, so...
Yeah, 100%. He's picking them up slowly here as he can get them. But that's how strong Halb is. You get that 1 tech Halb, and then it's good enough.
Yep.
Oh, with the torsion engine bomber cannons.
Shots.
So good against everything that Winchester's making right now, besides the Hussar, obviously.
I love the castle from Vinch, and I'd love to see more of them, but he is really struggling to dodge some of these shots right now from Tato. Tato's 2 bomber cannons have 11 kills, 13 kills now. Vinch needs to maybe focus his own cannon micro on those cannons, and now he's doing it.
Yeah, now he's doing that. Yeah. I don't like where Tato's fighting here. Also, don't like that. Like, I like the walls that Tato made on the sides and stuff, but I don't really like that we're not deleting some and making the space a little more, a little bit wider.
Yeah.
Because yes, there's Hussars and we don't want to get raided, but we don't want to be fighting in choke versus Janissary bomber cannon.
Can we please appreciate the 2 outposts from both of them on the right though, that are right next to each other? That's nice.
Oh, that's
I feel like they should ally for 30 seconds, just to appreciate that.
Yeah. Just both getting some good vision down. Nothing wrong with that. Just both getting some good vision. Tato's house at 180, by the way. Come on, let's get some houses going.
Yeah, it's rough, dude. He really needs this golden stone. Like, look, Winchester's villagers are already venturing towards this stone outside of Tato's base.
Yeah.
And the stone count's insane for Winchester. Like, how are you supposed to break the Turks when they have more relics? They have control of your gold. And then they have how many castles is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 castles. He could have 7 castles if he wanted to.
What do you think about BBT for Turks here?
I think
it's an option.
I think it's a great option after you have maxed out on everything else.
Okay.
Right? Like there's no
Long-term
reason.
thing.
I am not seeing a single area where Winchester should make a castle, right? So it's a perfect situation for it. But I don't even remember how much the bombard tower upgrade costs, but I would like to see you at 200 pop with all attack upgrades on Hussars before you try and go for that.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good take, and I like that Winchester is actually just grabbing the stone from Tato, even though it's a bit risky. He doesn't really care about losing these villas. He just wants to trade them for as much stone as he can.
Yeah.
Now Hussars are running in.
I think you could also make an argument. Maybe make an argument for dropping some ranges and getting like fletching Bodkin Bracer, considering the CA switch long term, or at least like fletching Bodkin and ballistics for your castle fire. All that stuff's helpful.
Yeah, for sure you want to work your way to Bracer. CA is not even a bad choice, but I think it's a little too out there right now. It's too expensive to make that full switch, I believe, at the moment.
Yeah. You could easily do that and then suddenly lose all your gold units and be like, oh crap,
I have nothing left.
Exactly. Why did I do that? Yep. Man, KD's just brutal. But Tato can spam trash all day. That's the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Finch isn't really killing him right now. He's tried to run in with the raid, but it didn't happen.
The problem for Tato, though, is that he's just losing his bombard cannons. Because, again, he's fighting in the worst position. That wood line is making things so awkward.
Yeah.
You want to fight in open. He should delete the walls on the right, like just a little bit of the walls, and fight between that gold and the wood line on the right. That's going to be a much better area to push out. You can't fight in this choke.
I wouldn't even mind siege rams from Winchester here to break down the wall on the right side, open up another avenue for raids. There's actually a Halb opening that gate on the right side right now, so he might be able to run in.
That guy's definitely an imposter. I don't know what that's going on.
He did kill a Hussar that was there, to be fair to him. So he's just resting.
Fair enough. Took the spot of the Hussar, just sitting on the horse or something.
Okay. I mean, still units getting thrown into the meat grinder here. Very realistic warfare here. Tons of units from Tato just being tossed to their deaths with no care in the world.
Damn, that's sad. And the gunfighter units just picking them off, man. It's brutal.
And Tato's population is ahead of Winchester's, but he now has 0 gold to mine. So how is he going to push back castles when he can't make cannons long term? And he's got 3 cannons now. If these 3 cannons can get some massive shots, life is good, and maybe there's a chance. He's trying his best, but Vinch noticed them. He missed. And he's going to potentially kill all 3 here. Kills 1. And he's going to kill 2. And the third one is probably going to follow soon after.
Yeah, it's really hard for Tato to close the gap with the cannons. He's actually trying to snipe some of the gens with them. So he's trying to get value on gold units.
Yeah.
Market's getting bottomed out. Tato's officially at 0 gold to mine. Winchester has a little bit. He's mining with 14 villas at the back of his base and a little bit to the right. But that's running out within 2 minutes.
Yep, and this is a good one for anyone who's ever asked us, how do you beat Turks on Arena? And they say their civ is not one of like 3 or 4 civilizations. Sometimes the honest answer from us is good luck. They would have to make mistakes. It's really hard to beat them.
If there's a way, it's actually what Tato's doing here. The trash comp is the best thing you can do because you can't really trade gold units. What gold units can Tato make that really add value here?
Yeah.
If you had infinite, then obviously Arbalest, sure, instead of the skirms. But otherwise, it's just good to like use Halbs and skirms as a combo to whittle down Turks' gold.
Yeah.
But that being said, Turks do have the option of champions. We talked about CA. Champions could be the reason, or like the better option.
That's true.
Long term. And the reason you can push through this.
Yeah, Champ would probably finish off the game. I don't know if they get Gambesons. I'm going to assume they do, but I have no information. It's a 50-50 flip on that.
That's chat for you. Come on, guys.
But yeah, I mean, someone's going to look it up. If they do get it, though, it'd be a game ender. But also, opening the side and raiding the side of Tato is a game ender. Vince just has been so focused on the middle. But he's got a couple Hussars through into Tato's eco already. And he had to run past an army and castles for that. It's not going to be hard for him to go in on that right side.
Yeah, and the Treb is going to kill that gate on the right. They actually don't get Gambesons, so not as good as an option, but still okay to go champions.
Still okay, yeah.
Yeah, and, well, let's see. I mean, the raids are coming. Tato panics down a gate. He actually can't afford to expose that right side. What he can do is transfer all those villas on the right over to the left and just keep that safe.
Yep.
Turks can't cut trees, so you need trees to be your natural wall here, I believe.
Yeah, that's a fair point. It was a good idea from Tato to expand the walls earlier, but like there's definitely a thing where if you have the relics, you fight on here until you're at 100 pop if you're Tato. But it feels like if the Hussars actually start to break in, I mean, it's a tournament final. Maybe I'm being a little too, negative about this, but he can't think he has good chances right now, I guess is where I'm going with this.
Yeah, I think from a player's perspective here, you're just kind of playing on because you're 200 pop. You know what I mean? Like he knows he'd rather switch positions. He knows it's not looking good, but you're 200 pops, you just continue playing kind of thing.
Yeah, I like the ballistics and bodkin upgrades coming in now for Vinch. That castle is going to give him protection to take more stone, to take some of that gold, and to push some of these buildings from Tato. And Tato's maybe feeling like sometimes you feel when you are losing a game. Just kill me. Just finish me. Like, come on.
Finish me. I don't want to resign. I'm close to 200 pop.
Yeah,
I want to continue playing.
Kill me already. Damn.
Here's the thing. Tato's actually going Siege Ram, so you can tell he's running out of options because this was not his first choice of Siege.
Yeah.
But I think Siege Ram with torsion engines are actually really good. So maybe that's his last chance to push out. Halb Siege. Yeah, he's got a lot of work to push back here, even with the
Winchester is going to take out that castle, which is his last real fortification in his base. But here goes Tato. Now, Vinch can see this. He has full vision on that because of that outpost. So he's going to wait with the Hussars. And having hoardings, and all the other upgrades he could, his castles have tons of HP right now, Winchester. So I think he will lose some Hussars, but the Rams are not going to work.
Just let Vinch just ignore the Rams and just go for the base. If he just has a Hussar straight for Tato's base, he just wipes Tato off the face of the planet like, before the Siege Ram do anything.
This castle from Vinch is a little crazy.
I like it. I respect it. It's on the relics. Like, this is actually sick.
I mean, it's just a teensy bit crazy. I think a part of it is that he's dealing with other things at the same time. And the Siege Rams have actually made some progress. So that's not too bad.
Yeah, Vinch he's doing the thing, though. He's sending the Hussars away from the Rams. You just ignore those. The Siege Ram, they're so slow.
Yeah.
And then you just go ahead and wipe Tato's entire base here. This is completely over right now.
I think Vinch actually did a good job there luring some of the Halbs away, too. There was like maybe 10 to 15 Halbs that left the Rams once they were ejected. And yeah, castle goes up for Vinch. He does have to invest resources into repairs, but it's going to stay up. And now would be the time where Tato is going to say, well, okay, I've officially exhausted every single option. And taps out.
Yep. GG. Well played to Vinch. I mean, honestly, well played from both these guys. 1 hour long. Great performance from both. And Vinch obviously takes it 2-1 for him. That's a good mental win because that was his first pick, Civ. So, yeah, I can say like firsthand from experience, when you win with your first pick, you just feel good about the draft. And if you lose with it, it's absolutely crushing. So great for Vinch. And I don't think Tato's too upset because he lost to a first pick. But he did lose his Ethiopians, which was also kind of
which was high up there.
Well.
Yeah. So when you have the two high picks facing off, those games can be important. But the way the draft panned out, Vinch had the very first pick, which was Turks. Tato then got 2 picks. One of them was Ethiopians. The other one was Burgundians, which I imagine when we see Burgundians for Tato, it's going to be a very situation on the other side from Vinch, where he tries to be incredibly creative to try and stop a Civ that should probably win if they're played optimally. There's just certain Civs on Arena that are simply that good. That is what it is. So
yeah,
good game there. I really appreciated Tato's build. I know it didn't work, and I know certain aspects could have maybe been better, like the castle position could have been further forward to prevent Vinch from coming in as early. But the idea behind how Tato played this was good. As you mentioned, O'Hara, maybe just skipping Halb. Actually, I don't know.
Yeah, I think the initial build worked. If you think about it, it put him in a really good position. There's 20 vills, had faster imp. I think that part was actually genius. Like that worked wonderfully. But yeah, it was like that Halb play, some misposition, some overcommitment from him. Maybe just not realizing how far ahead he was at certain points there. And yeah, but I think the early game, like you said, was actually great. And I would say that worked out fantastically for him.
But also, like, how many times do you think Vinch has played up against this? Probably not too many. And Vinch's decision to drop that second castle, it was all the way back at 23 minutes and 20 seconds. Where he did was so crucial, right? Because a lot of times with that push, you're thinking, I'm about to be imp. I have 700 food. I have 700 gold. he can't kill my units. Let's drop the castle forward. Let's continue to pile on the heat here. Had he done that, I think Tato kills him. But it was the line of castles defensively and just taking it late game after the initial all-in. That was really good from Vinch.
Let's hop into the game here.
Yeah.
Korean Saracens.
Yeah, Korean Saracens. And the big thing that comes to mind initially before we talk about all the fun units that we probably won't end up seeing, it'll probably just be bombard cannons and archers. But the big thing is Saracens have a lot of fun flexibility with the market. And so if it's aggression on the mind for them, they can do that with the market. If they want to boom, even, you could do that with the market. And you can flex into a completely different strategy by buying and selling things with that market. So that's big. And Saracens are extremely unpredictable, which is why we believe Winchester would have maybe picked them as early as he did, because Tato typically would pick them. And then Tato's got Koreans, and new Koreans on the current patch. There's some fun things to talk about.
Oh, but yeah, that's crazy.
This is old Koreans. And their only eco bonus is that they mine stone faster, and their villagers have a little bit more vision. It's all about the Korean late game. Like, they do get the archer upgrades for free in each age. So good build up towards archer. Skirmisher is good for them. Siege is good for them. But there's not a whole lot else that really gets me that excited about the Koreans, to be honest.
I think like the standard arena comp of like trash units, like Halb Skirm with towers, sounds great for Koreans.
Yeah.
Because the Korean towers, once you get the unique tech, actually make the bomber cannons obsolete because the towers outrange them. So I think that could actually be a good approach from Tato long term here.
There was a game, it was Valis, who ended up losing in the semifinal to Tato. So he played very well to get there. And it was Madri. And series ended up being 3-2 between two players that played very similarly. And pretty much that entire series, especially because like, all the gunpowder and all-in unique unit civs were banned, was just like how bomber cannon, our bomber cannon, that type of thing. And it was Dravidians for Madri, and he went how bomber cannon. And Valis fell all the way back into his base and held. And he actually went Yipseong Towers with his own bombard cannons, and he creeped. So he fell back into his walls, used a couple towers and a bombard cannon shot or two of his own to kill Madri's initial force, and then it was like every 3 tiles is a tower. Every 3 tiles is a tower, and it couldn't be pushed by bomber cannons anymore. It was so cool because I thought he was so dead.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, and that setup, if you really think about it, your towers deny bombard cannons, and if the guy goes trebs, you got your own cannons that can kill those. So it's the kind of thing if the guy just doesn't have that like 10 trebs or like 10 cannons to come in and clear you one shot, he'll have a tough time taking out those towers. And Koreans, they've got really cheap trash units, discount on wood. They can spam those forever. And if you can get that kind of setup, you'll be in a good position. But until we get there, we have been seeing a lot of like early imp rushes, and the Saracens are damn good at that with the market as well.
Yeah, they are. I think you just take it simple, take map control here for your Tato. You have to live with no eco bonus. Saracens, though, don't have a wood bonus or a food bonus in Dark Age like some other civs do. It's just the market we're talking about. So hope your opponent makes some mistakes and have some map control, because the winner of every single game, granted it's been more complex than just map control, but the winners have been the players who've had the map. I don't think guard towering the map makes sense because players will simply avoid that. There's no crazy anxiety that some of our lower elo viewers might get when they see a tower. But eventually, if you have the map, then you could consider towers. Like if you have 5 or 6 light cav and you have 3 TCs, I think this area where Tato's scout is now would be very tempting to start to drop a couple towers and maybe go for a siege push or something.
Yeah, I can definitely see that happening as well. 100%. And we're seeing double lumber camp now for Tato and for Vinch. So double lumber camp seems to be like what they always default back to, it seems.
Yeah, double lumber camp. I actually think the meta is going to shift a little bit on Arabia now as well, because the KUTD Arabia meta was so designed about fast ups because you had 120 extra food on the elephants, and the deer were super close. So you could always push in all your deer without really sacrificing much scouting, plus you'd have extra food, which could shave off a villager or two. and thus it was worth it to go for the 1 lumber camp style. I'm kind of curious to see what things become, if anything changes in some of the Arabia builds.
Yeah, it's funny because I was actually making build loaders for like the general public, and I'd make them like always like 19 pop or like 20. But in KOTD, I was doing 18 pop, and I got asked a lot of questions about that. And it just comes down to that extra food. Like 18 isn't better than 19. It's just that if I've got extra food, I'll go ahead and make use of that and go up a little bit earlier. And I really think that those fast uptimes kind of killed off the men-at-arms strategies. If we shave off that food, go back to boars, the deers are further, men-at-arms are definitely going to make a comeback into the meta, especially with civs like Romans, where you have really good bonuses for your infantry. But yeah, it's the kind of thing where the small details on the map really impact how the best strategies are performed.
Yeah, I think specifically though, because you could afford to go fast archers, which requires barracks, archery range, archers, then blacksmith and fletching. And in the past, you could never just go fast up and also go fletching. So if you're just going fast up and you're going for archers without fletching, it's very underwhelming, I think.
Agreed.
And
then you don't have a counterattack. You clear them up, the guys on skirms, and the game just resets basically.
Yeah, that's what I think. So, and dude, I'm so passionate about it because I hated those 17, 18, 19 pop builds. Give me another
counter,
drush.
bro.
Give me a couple walls. Like, give me some time. I need more time.
I actually messaged you with like a kind of like I had like a big like strategy, like basically what I use in the finals to get there as well. And I wanted to help you with that as well, but unfortunately you couldn't play the last second qualifier. You were just 100% in it. But I really think if I helped you with like the approach to counter that style, you would have had a great success in the second qualifier.
I appreciate your confidence, but there's some players that just can't be helped, and I'm one of them. Hero.
I think you're downplaying yourself. I've seen you play, and I honestly think that you have good like reading of the game, but you're just kind of not as sharp as it needs to be. And I think if you just clean that up, kind of go for the sharpness.
Did you guys hear that? He went, you're not as, he hesitated. He was worried. Not as sharp. Okay, thank you.
Not as terribly, no. I'm messing. But yeah, I mean, back to the game, obviously. This is the Arabia talk. But here we've got Winchester going for 2-bill forward approach. And we've seen this a couple times already, by the way. And I kind of like it because it makes the game fun. But I don't know if it's that good, to be honest.
Yeah. So, to my knowledge, the smush, which these days we use for siege monk push, was originally just the Saracen monk rush way back in like the mid 2000s. I think that's what the smush referred to. And this can really utilize the market. And typically, if you're going to try something like this, you can't have eco. But I think with the Saracen market, you kind of can. So it's interesting. Let's see if Winchester could execute on it. But Tato did scout it, which is important.
He goes to stone. He could actually go guard tower defense here.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Maybe a reason why this is not so good against the Koreans.
He immediately drops the tower. But maybe Winchester, here's the thing. Tato going to stone gets 1 tower. That's already a pretty big commitment. If Winchester just pressures a little, forces some towers, and then booms, maybe he can win the map and kind of not overextend into try to killing those towers.
Yeah.
There's an angle here for that.
What the real clowns would do, or I guess the amigos in this tournament, because the clowns didn't make it very far, like Madri, Valis, Barros, if they were doing this, they see the guard towers and they plan towards a forward castle, fast imp, to just treb everything down.
Yeah. I love that, actually. I wouldn't even go for that second monastery, but I mean, he doesn't know about the towers. That's true. Yeah, makes sense. Ram first, fair enough. Going to break those walls. And by doing this, Winchester also wins the relics. So it gives him the push and the relics. So it's quite a flexible strategy. But as you can see, he's not adding a single town center, whereas Tato already has the one going down. So
Tato is also going for a siege workshop, which I wouldn't have done personally because I would just assume that my towers would help hold any of this pressure. But it's a better safe than sorry approach. It is a final, as we've said time and time again here. Tato has not gone for the 3 TCs that I'm sure he wanted originally. Some of this could be planned. We'll see. And I love the house from Vinch in front of Tato's gate.
Sick, yeah.
That's so funny.
That's sick.
That is something that I saw at low elo before I ever saw a high elo player do. I'm serious.
Yeah. In high elo, it's like, okay, I'm gonna force him to delete a wall. In low elo, it's like, oh, he can't leave his base now.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the difference.
Well, think about it. Like, if half the people don't know you can delete things, it's really good.
Yeah, yeah, that's like insane. And then the guy's like, I gotta invest into some siege to leave my base now. I love it. I love it.
Oh, Scout could get trapped. There's no way though, right? Okay.
He's out. Yeah.
It
But I mean,
escapes.
Tato does get the free rewall, and that's actually a heads-up play from him.
Yeah.
He saw Vinch going around the side. You don't want to have multiple holes in your base for no reason. He'll clean that up, and all of a sudden, Vinch's bush is getting stalled out pretty heavily.
Yeah, Tato, he could still use that scout to be active against the monks, but man, that's a lot of spearmen. Vinch made 5 spears. He's not messing around here, but the whole point's to get the relics as fast as possible. And you have seen 2 towers, but if this was against any other Civ, Vinch wouldn't have stopped his push, right? Because he would see regular towers, and then Tato would have to get the university and guard tower. So it's still very interesting that Vinch even tried this in the first place against Koreans, honestly.
Yeah, but it could be part of the plan. I mean, Winchester isn't heavily committed to this. He's gunning the 3rd town center already at home, and even though the towers hold the push, they don't win Tato the map control. Not right away, at least.
Yep.
So Winchester could have this, like, I got all the relics. I'm going to fake a push, force an overreaction, which already 3 towers in the Siege Workshop is kind of an overreaction if you ask me. And then he'll just play for the long game, or at least for the next step, which is maybe a castle forward.
I do think the death ball of Koreans, though, it starts like this, right? You stay in your base, you invite all the pressure you might, see, and then you just focus on that economy. And sure, they get the relics. Even if they take them back home, guess what? There's a period in this game where you're advancing forward with more towers and halbs and siege or whatever. So it's not bad for Tato, but it's interesting to me even that he's rushing the range down. It almost looks like he thinks it's going to be a YOLO fast imp from Vinch. So he too is going to try and rush up to imp. And again, it comes back to the pressure, right? Like, Tato doesn't know anything. He doesn't know. He has to assume things, and he could be correct to assume Saracens might do that.
And I think he just really doesn't want to be in his base. Like, we've seen the guy in his base getting pushed, just losing time and time again. And Tato, instead of getting that 3rd TC, instead of just developing his economy, he's actually... Oh, nice trap on the scout there at the back from Tato. Sick. Yeah, instead of going 3rd TC and just play it up like normally, he's actually going 2 TC and working his way towards the Imperial Age.
Yep.
And that is basically 100% just an adaptation to Vinch's style here and not wanting to lose the map control at all.
I wonder how obvious this is going to be to Vinch. Because if there's a point where you recognize this is going to happen, as Vinch is making another ram, which is surprising to me.
Interesting.
I think I would just be I would just taken all those relics back to my base if I knew Tato clicked up. But Tato obviously hasn't yet, but sometimes you see the score dip. Vinch might be a little confused by the score already.
Yeah.
Because he has such a significant score lead, which is a little uncommon at times. Ooh,
Going
Vinch
forward, though, he wants to really double down on this position here. 2nd round comes in. I agree with you. That's a bit strange. I'm not really sure what he was thinking. Goes redemption as well. Oh, he wants to break the wall? Castle inside Tato's base. That's what he wants to do right now.
Good luck with that. If he had a Mangonel,
tough task.
If he had a Mangonel, he could be damaging the wall right now. But the 2nd ram, I mean, you've had the 1st ram forever. Tato have to be... You even saw Tato at a siege workshop, so that... I'm not sure how I feel about it, but he has redemption, so we can convert Tato's siege. This is actually doable. Tato's making a siege tower, by the way.
What? That has to be a misclick.
Vinch, convert the siege tower, bro. Come on.
Do it, and then use it. Get the bills over.
Mango
gets converted. Yeah, that's huge. Siege tower's out, though. Oh, Tato realizes. Oh, God, that's embarrassing.
You don't have to drop the castle in his base. Thank you.
No,
Just drop
it wasn't
the
a
safe
misclick.
castle.
No, he's actually using the siege tower. That wasn't a misclick.
Yeah, man. Counterattack. Let's go. And Vinch saw it. Vinch saw
walls.
it. Vinch is palisade walling. Vinch knows it's coming.
That's crazy. Bro, I was trolling. I was like, oh, that's embarrassing. It's a misclick for sure. And then all of a sudden, the whole game just shifts because that siege tower landed.
When did he see it? Hold on. I'm going to just look back. Oh, he saw it literally for half a second at 21:58. Yeah.
I would have assumed it's a misclick, though. That's crazy that he's just like walling up like that. I guess he's like respecting the counterattack. I don't think that should be Tato's concern, though. I think Tato should much more focus on the front. I think that's more important than the counterattack, to be honest.
So 5 relics for Vinch. It looked like he was going to be later to Imp, but then he leaned on the market, as we know the Saracens can do. Every win in this game has revolved around, or in this series rather, has revolved around the player who places that initial forward castle and aggression. I suppose Winchester didn't actually go for a forward castle in the previous game, so maybe that's wrong, but the point is map control. But it's how you take the map control, the timing on everything. It's not as simple as, like, take the map, win the game.
Yeah.
And there goes the siege tower that Tato thinks is sneaky, but he may see the walls here from Vinch. It's taken a long time for Vinch. Vinch is even putting the palisade gates right next to the stone gates. Oh, I love it.
Scout goes down. Tato didn't see any of those walls, so he could come at a surprise unless he lands the crossbows right in time here. We'll see.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, he gets the faster imp here, and now the trebs come out.
Okay, here comes the crossbows. It's not walled yet. Tato, he doesn't know he has to go to the area where his scout died, which is the problem here. Tato's not getting in with those crossbows, man.
No, he went the wrong way. Yeah, and meanwhile, he lost 3 villas back at home because of Vinch's second castle. So now, even though Tato has the treb lead, it's 1 castle to 2.
Yep.
And he doesn't have a university, or he does, but he doesn't have chemistry cooking.
Oh, man.
So
and he went for bracer and crossbowman, all these upgrades to get value, and Vinch spotting that siege tower, knowing that Tato wouldn't misclick it. It would be a misclick from Hera, but not a misclick from Tato.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's so sick.
That's crazy. What a turnaround. I mean, like, Tato's whole strategy, it seems, is now halted by palisade walls, of all things.
And Tato's going to walk over there and drop a tower. He's pissed. He's going to try and shoot down the palisade wall with the keep.
This game took a wild turn. And, you know, honestly, Tato investing into that whole play might have cost him the game, because that's a second castle he could have had instead.
Yeah.
He could have had more trebs, bombard cannons, but instead he's got a siege tower with 6 crossbows, turtle walking across the map right now.
Yeah, I mean, he'll get in eventually, but by then Winchester could just panic drop a castle or something. Winchester's going to have a heads up, because the only way the siege tower actually works is if palisade walls get shot down, which Vinch can notice. Tato's castle is down. The bright side for him here is that he will have some keeps, but I don't know how much longer they'll stay up. And if those keeps aren't there, the cannons can easily take out the trebs.
Can you ungarrison crossbows from a siege tower without a wall? Like, can you just take them out?
Yeah, you have to click the unit.
Yeah. He could take that out and just hit the wall with the crossbow. I think he should have been doing that, but the tower is kind of burning through quite fast as well through the palisade.
Yeah, here he goes. Vinch drops the castle. That castle could be denied.
Yeah, that's actually a little
really
late.
Casual.
Send more bills, bro.
There go the crossbows. Situation. All right, crossbows are through. Siege tower hype.
Tato the castle here
is going to lose his trebs, though. Vinch has so many trebs. Castle will probably go up here, Hera, and I think Vinch won't take too many more losses. Oh, and Tato's losing everything at home.
Yeah, brutal. Bomber cannon. He didn't get the keep upgrade. Doesn't have enough cannons. Has no army at home. The siege tower play took all of Tato's attention. Like, it was supposed to be a counterattack, but it ends up just hurting Tato so much. And Winchester, all he had to do was an extra layer of palisade walls, and now it's completely over. Vinch wins.
Yeah, he can convert any cannons Tato makes. Yeah, Winchester played this perfectly.
Yeah.
And I think for Tato, honestly, if he tries to compete in the Treb Bomber Cannon War, I still think he struggles. But you're certainly right that he could have had a little bit more. But when your opponent also has the monks that can convert your cannons, and you don't have extra range on your cannons, you don't have a market to work with, there's just so many bonuses that go against you here as Koreans.
Yeah.
Oh, what you're supposed to do.
Saracens felt like just a better option for this kind of style. And the question is, like, how do you stop this kind of style? How do you prevent your opponent from just getting that castle? Maybe instead of like the siege tower play, just go for castle age rams or like mangonels and push back the whole operation.
Or just like go light cav. Just go light cav and boom. Maybe try and hope your opponent goes for the monks. The problem is you don't want to go light cav with a bad economic civ. So I can either way we look at it, it's tricky. I love how Vinch is repairing the rams with the villagers. He still had his 5 spearmen in the rams. Like, they've lived a very full life up to this point.
Yeah. And making those rams have higher DPS and move a little faster as well. And now The crazy thing is behind this, Vinch has the map control. He's got 5 relics, and he's got a good economy. So there's he's got everything he needs in Arena to win. And Tato just has a last hope, I guess, a siege tower and a dream.
This is a big one. It's doable. It has happened before, and it will happen in the future. But it is very rare that players at this level are going to lose 3 straight. So Tato going down 3-1 here would be a painful one for him because he'd have to win 3 straight against Winchester in order to win the final.
Yeah, and he's got no like, I don't know how much of a mental player Tato is, but he's got no mental momentum here. Like, he's down. He lost a couple games, even civs.
Yep.
For the most part, and he kind of lost in the same style. Doesn't really have the solution to the style yet, and it's just a little confusing for him maybe right now.
Yeah, remember some of the civilizations Tato was getting wins with before this final. Cumans is on the ban list. Mongols, Spanish. Some of the funky stuff that Tato could maybe try, not here. And you're losing to Saracen, so it's not like you're losing this, but it's the number 2 pick for Vinch.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, Winchester still got some pretty solid options remaining in this series.
Yeah, Tato has to definitely up the... like, maybe not up the level, but just like try something different or try a different approach. He's being a little too passive for the map control, and he's kind of giving Winchester exactly the game he wants. And I'll talk a little bit here now that this game is kind of dragging on a little long. I mean, Tato still has a chance. He's working his way to a trash comp, so we'll see what he can cook up here. But I'll talk from first-hand experience. I kind of noticed Winchester doing the strategy, even in Arabia games or other maps, and he goes for like map control with minimal units. Forward castle, immediately cancels vote production, goes in.
Yeah.
And I found the counter to this is to fight in castle, forward siege him, make extra army, don't greed on economy. And that, once I kind of figured that out, I stopped struggling as much versus the style. And I think Tato has to make that exact adjustment, except on Arena right now.
Yeah. Don't try and join them in Imp because that's what they want.
Exactly.
Try and turn it into a different game. Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's so tricky. It's like, what am I going to do with Koreans? Again, it's like keeps coming back to freaking Koreans. It's like, I can't go like all in Knight Ram, you know?
Yeah.
What do I do?
All in Siege Tower crossbow.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way to counterattack, I suppose, on Arena when there's walls. But Winchester's solid, and Winchester's got to be careful here, actually. His relics are still in the middle. He's lost a lot of his trebuchets. He does kill a lot of Tato's army, and he could maybe take out some cannons from Tato here, but Tato, with his last chance...
Wow, sick.
Oh, man, I'm so worried those cannons are going to get converted. Oh, no.
Oh, 2 down. Ah, that's brutal. That was brutal.
Yikes.
Oh, the third goes as well. Wow. Yeah, I mean, he's still going. He's still going, but that's just demoralizing at this point. Yeah.
And the fact that you have to research a unique tech for your towers to outrange bombard cannons hurts as well.
Yeah. Agreed.
So you fall so far behind, and then you have to invest so much to just staying alive.
He could have had that tech had he just not went for siege tower. Like, that was so risky. I don't think he realized how risky that was. If he had to reconsider, it's not an easy late game for him to win on the defensive, but he could have had a second castle, the tower upgrade potentially, more bombard cannons, and even some army like halberdiers, pikemen to protect him as well. He could have had that a lot earlier, and I think the siege tower really threw him off his game there.
Vinch is currently town centering Tato's main gold, so I'm going to give him another idea. He should send a monk over to the siege tower, convert it, put the crossbows he's making right now in the siege tower, and then take it into Tato's base. That is the most get out of my game move
that you
could ever do. Come on,
Yeah,
convert the siege tower. No, don't kill it, Hussar. Convert it. Okay, well.
Yeah, that would have been sick. Just take it, get some crossbows in there, just run around.
The things that players will never think about in the game, but casters talk about, so... Tato's still got big risk bank, but he's not like... Yeah, I agree. The fact that he's continuing to play on here is maybe more out of frustration than anything.
Yeah. Because, like, you have a small chance, but that chance requires so many mistakes from Winchester.
Yeah.
And like, everything that's happening is so tilting. Like, you're getting hit with cannons. He's got way more army, and there's monks on the field.
Yep.
And he's town centering your main gold. So, like, everything's just making it more and more frustrating. I'm sure of it.
And having been there on days where I'm feeling really good and feeling like there's a chance in the series, I'm like, okay, probably can't do this. GG, you know, behind by a couple K score. Days where I'm not really feeling it, days where I'm like, man, I might just get completely rolled here. I play on a little bit longer, you know?
Yeah.
And that could be different for everybody, but Winchester played extremely well here. The early pressure yet again, the fantastic imp timing, like you said, idled his TCs. When I saw he was on 3 town centers, you sometimes just assume that player is going to continue to produce vills. He didn't. He stopped and won the initial Trebor. And then, of course, spotting the siege tower was also really good, because if he doesn't see that, then suddenly he has no castle at home. There's army in his base, and it could maybe be a different situation there.
And you actually can't really clear 5 crosses with bracer chemistry like very easily. So Tato went for a high risk, high reward play, and unfortunately just didn't pay off, and it kind of collapsed the entire game from him. But you know, there's still a chance. We have seen a reverse sweep in this tournament by Viper actually versus ACCM, and this isn't a reverse sweep, but it's a similar situation where you got to win 3 in a row now for Tato.
I think like, Burgundians
so very strong.
Are like super good, yeah. Because like,
and I like the fact. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, on the strength of the Burgundians, every bonus they have is designed for arena, and every bonus plays in towards timings that we've talked about today. So you're getting eco upgrades earlier, but it's also cheaper, right? Which is nuts. And then you have all that eco, which is already more res than your opponent's going to be able to bring in, regardless of what they do. Then you could go for cheap husbandry and cheap Lycav on the back of it. And then when you collect relics, you get food, right? And then your the Halb gunpowder strategy is stronger because your gunpowder is stronger as well. So like Lithuanians having strong cav, that might not play out too well. Then maybe they have to go for like skirmishers Halbs. Maybe full trash against Burgundians is the way you have to play it. I don't know.
Yeah, I like the fact that Burgundians did lose the Flemish Revolution. At least it got heavily nerfed, so that's not really a viable option in most cases here.
Yeah.
So it's worth mentioning that in the past, Burgundians were like OP and like on arena, and they had that up their sleeve. Nowadays, not so much, but they're still, as you mentioned, very, very strong.
Yeah.
Thing about Lithuanians, they're full trash. It sounds really good, and it is pretty good, but losing Blast Furnace makes their Halbs really weak against other Halbs. So if it gets to a Halb war, Burgundian Halbs are actually much stronger with the extra 2 attack, and that's a pretty big deal here.
Yeah, and then the cannons doing more damage as well from behind could be problematic. So we'll see. I think it will likely be a Lycav war. Both these civilizations have bonuses revolving around the relics. We haven't talked about maps too much because it's arena, but it could be important if talking map control that the stone is very far forward for Tato. So if he loses control, is pressured, having that stone exposed has been a concern. I think it was a concern in game 1 when he was Franks, for example. I think I would almost prefer to have one of my golds forward, even my main gold forward, than my stone these days.
Also, that might be one of the reasons why this style of like fast and forward cast is so good. You only ever have one stone in your base, and if that's forward, it's forward. And look at Tato's base. It's always like that. Second stone's always outside. And that's a purely map script thing. So that's why when you think about like how the meta is playing out in tournaments, it's not necessarily this is every arena game from now on will play exactly like this. Different tournaments have different scripts for the maps, and if we're in a situation where the guy has 2 backstones, he can hold for it. You know, he can hold forever with these kind of pushes.
Yeah, I think ladder version. For viewers, I think ladder version's similar, where it's main gold, 4 tile gold, and then your main stone in your base, and the others are outside. But we have seen varying versions before, and the big thing here is actually the relic generation. I asked John Slow about it. It's similar to TGM, and TGM relic generation isn't like perfectly centered. So there have been instances where there's like 3 or 4 relics closer to one player. But this one's super... overall, I think pretty fair in terms of generation, but it's preferable for Winchester.
I hate Winchester second lumber camp. Oh, that's so bad.
Oh, build it in the nook right next to that.
Yeah, that would be so good, and this one's so bad. Oh, not a fan of that one. Yeah.
If it was the first lumber camp, I'd cut him some slack because it's a 9-vil start, and so sometimes you just click your villagers over to wood and you're committed, and you don't think about it. But yeah, I mean, considering we have nothing else to talk about at this point, that is especially painful.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big deal. We're all looking at just that, basically. Actually, one idea I wanted to pass by you as well. Like, think about arena for like going forward. What if we made it so there's anywhere between 1 and 7 relics in the center, and so you have to scout before deciding your strategy, and you can't just turbo their deer like we normally have.
I like the idea, but I think having one relic would be too little.
Okay.
Like
So
I
maybe
think
like 3 to 7?
if anything, yeah, like 3 to 7 would make me a bit happier.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, I don't mind the idea, but
Yeah.
I will say Arena is such a beloved map by many, and it's such a classic map that there's going to be heavy pushback around that idea. Especially because King of the Desert champion brought it up. It's like, oh, Arabia player, wants to change our arena. Didn't even sign up for the tournament, there's going to be that. But I think I like the idea because it adds an extra level of adaptation to each game. But, sometimes people don't want adaptation. They want, like, the same thing. So it's kind of tricky.
I'm so against that. I'm all for adaptation, man. Like, I swear, every single tournament, we always get into the same situation where, like, half the players just want the maps to be like basically mirrored. If this guy's got a gold forward, the other guy should have a forward gold. It's only fair. And I'm here to like, dude, it has to be random gen. You have to adapt. It's a best of 9. You're not losing because of the map. You know what I mean? You're losing most of the time, maybe 1 or 2 games because of the map. But in general, it's going to be like the better player wins on that day if it's a long series. So I'm a big fan of like make the maps different. Make the players have to adapt on the fly, because I think that's what brings out the best AoE2 player, and not just the guy who comes up with the best prepared strats.
Okay, so on that note, I'm trying to set something up right now, which has been done in the past, but it's very rare. It's a mod which affects the game where you will not get the alerts if the opponent's in the next stage.
Okay.
And you do not have score. So in order to know if your opponent is in the next stage, you have to physically scout them. So imagine Arabia, right? Architecture changes, right?
Yeah.
What buildings do they have, right? You lose your scout, it's so much more punishing, right? So, but yeah, there's no score, and then you can't know if your opponent's in the next stage, and you don't know what your opponent's civilization is until you scout them as well.
Oh, I was on that. I was on that idea. That last idea, I was on that for like 5 years ago, actually. I love that. I think not knowing your opponent's civilization will take gear luring completely out of the early game. Like, you can lure the year after, but you have to scout. I think that would actually be really cool, because I think we're getting to the point in AoE2 where we've played so many games where, especially at the top level, you kind of know how the game will play out. But if you all of a sudden make these changes to where scouting is super important, you will get wacky strats working, sneaky strats working. Like, I can see someone making 3 ranges on a neutral island and kind of surprising their opponent, for example. But in general, these sneaky strategies could actually work well because you're not, just knowing about them beforehand.
Yeah, I don't want that to be an overall change to the game, but it's something I want to do in the show match form, and I think it could be really good.
I think
also,
it could be.
It's like anything. If you do anything tens of thousands of times and people have it, there's a community around it, people get used to it. So I think if we did even changed everything to that, eventually there's a meta. Eventually people understand. But the fact that is very different and puts heavy priority on scouting is exciting for me. Which, speaking of, by the way, Tato's scouting that these villagers are coming forward. And Winchester's going to try double monastery again, but it's up against the scout approach from Tato this time.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say about that idea before we get back 100% back to the game, could be very fitting with the Hidden Cup theme, where you have hidden scores and hidden age. That's all I'm saying. Could be very fitting.
It could be. It's true. We'll see.
That would be interesting, yeah.
Except you don't know what hero you're up against. Like, crap, what's his name? Should I be scared or not?
Let me see. Yeah. Is it a monk unit or a trebuchet unit?
Like, listen,
big fights here, actually.
You were John the Fearless, okay? They were like, what? He has no fear? Oh, God.
Yeah, I don't even have to scout, bro. I'm just sitting in my base. They got to scout me. I'm the guy who's fearless. But yeah.
Good micro there from Tato to keep his scout alive. These are speedy Lithuanian spearmen. And then good micro from Vinch and Tato there as they trade some scout kills. But Lithuanian monasteries also work faster. So you have speedy spearmen and then 20% faster working monasteries. So it's actually
finally
a good monk.
We see it. 2 stable. Second stable comes down for Tato. He goes 1 TC only. Now goes 2 monasteries. Cancels it. Second monastery instead. I was getting excited. I do think it would have been good, though. I think if your opponent commits to the relics, especially in this matchup, Tato should have counter-commit to it as well. But Vinch at 2 monasteries in the middle with pikeman tech. Like, that is the ultimate commitment to these relics right now.
Yeah. I mean, so I'm really curious to see the atonement timing now, because when Vinch right now thinks this is a scout build, he's not going to be expecting there's going to be a lot of monks from Tato. If it was just spearmen, I would say double stable. Oh, as the snipe happens there for Tato. If it was just spearmen, I think, okay, go double stable light cap. The fact that you've seen pikemen probably means you don't want to double commit onto cav. We'll see, though. Tato, it does have the Burgundian economy, so his economy is stronger right now. He's brought in more resources, but Winchester has the relics.
Here's the thing, like, your opponent's relics, yes, he's getting them, but they're in the center. There's a world where Tato just commits, like, he just goes 2 monasteries, he can get atonements, and he can just monk rush the center, and then if he wins, he gets the relics back. Because right now we're seeing Winchester going for a second town center, and then he wants to plan the push with maybe a siege workshop. And so you're basically giving Winchester his plan once again. Let's try something different this game. Let's go for the push back and not just boom behind our walls.
But atonement has to work immediately, right? Like, it has to surprise the enemy. Great pick from Tato again. This is the second monk he's killed. And so Winchester maybe even feeling more and more, okay, I have my relics, but I need eco. Why should I add more monks when I've already lost so many? You know, that's the normal approach. There are some players who would just simply add more monks, but oh, come on, Tato, get atonement here, dude. Move out with these monks and get atonement. Your opponent will never expect it.
Yeah, and the pikes aren't even a big threat to the monks, so you can go out, start converting some pikes. If he runs away, you just go ahead and convert the monks, and all of a sudden you control the map. But yeah, I mean, he hasn't added the 3rd TC yet, so maybe he's saving up res for that. Or if he wants to commit to a push instead, we'll see. He goes market for him.
Second mining camp on the gold, and then TC on the wood line. Interesting. Don't hate it. And there's atonement. All right, so
yeah, okay, nice.
This is
good.
huge.
Yeah.
Especially if Winchester gets too close here. This could snowball really quick. But wait, no, don't show him the monks yet. Don't show him the monks yet. If Vinch sees this, his reaction's going to be to get atonement, I think. Oh boy, good micro.
Vinch has enough gold for atonement if he wants to. Tato's getting really close to the monks now.
Convert him. Kills one. Atonement's on the way for Vinch, and the other monks are running, but Tato's monks are zeroed in on those things, man.
Oh man, that was crazy. I think Tato should have been a little closer before he started converting there. He kind of went a little early here.
Yeah, let's see, it's gonna be
like have monks versus monks pikes. It could just come down to who's got more monks. I want to see Tato committing to more. He's only got 4. Like, make a siege workshop, commit, make more monks. You could win this.
Shout out to those villagers that were in that ram. You were not well loved by your people, but you were well loved by us.
Damn.
That hurts.
They're going to go down here.
Okay.
That's good for Tato for sure.
Clown war time. Let's see. Munkar and Jesus. Let's go. And whoa.
Oh my god. He charged those. He charged those. That was sick.
Yeah, they started converting something else first. There's no pike protection for the monks from Vinch, though. He sent all of his monks in after Tato's monks. I think a lot of monks die here.
Yeah, this is great for Tato. It started out amazing for Winchester, and then for some reason Winchester just went all out with the pikes attacking Tato's army. Good maneuvers from Tato. He's going to snipe some monks. Overall, still okay for Vinch, unless Tato can get some nice hits here. Nice, good snipe there. Yeah. Oh, good maneuvers.
Wow,
great
impressive
maneuvers
from Tato.
Wow, yeah, good stuff, good stuff.
Yeah, and his economy is also in a really good spot right now. Look at his wood count. Obviously, he was focused on the monks, but that wood count's going to lead to a whole lot more farms. He kills another monk. He micros again. It may kill that monk, but I look at the res collected currently. Tato's collected almost 1,000 more resources. The forward stone hasn't been an issue for him yet. He's going to go take that. Vinch is at 12 on food. He's just now adding farms to go up to 21, but Tato's sitting at 26 right now, so Tato's food eco should be flying.
And here's the thing. Tato has bowsaw and heavy plow up on Winchester right now. Winchester's working with some really suspect economy right now.
Yep. Yeah, it was a good decision from Tato to add those monks. And he's still adding some light cav here or there. Has redemption now, so he could always convert siege. But, I mean, what are you going to do if you break in here if you're Vinch? Not too much.
Yeah, his army is very weak. His army only works if his opponent isn't committing. But since Tato started committing, and here we're going to see the conversion on the Mangonel.
He tries to switch it to a mango. Lots of micro needed here. Tato saves this monk, kills the monk. That was really impressive.
Yeah, that was good. It was looking rough for him as well. Like have going in. Decides to just go back as well.
Yeah, the monk charging's a problem. The pikes are actually kind of hurting you right now because the monks have started to convert the pikes. Then the pikes run away. Now the monks go in. I think they had lost their charge. but there's a conversion on the siege.
Yeah, Magnetic gets converted. That's obviously a big swing. See if you can get some more value with that. Good micro from Vince to stay close to that, of course. Just clinch it. You're good. And now Tata could work towards Imperial Age if he wants to. But I see no reason not to just double commit into clearing this push. You could even go Cavalier if you want to, like having the Cavalier, because eventually if you just mass up enough, you could clear this. More monks could work as well. I don't know. I feel like Tato's just always undercommitting, trying to go towards Imperial Age.
Yeah, I'd be on like armor, attack, more like cav. Yeah. I'd forget about imp.
And I think that's the correct approach, because if you think about imp, it doesn't get you anything immediately. It's gonna obviously put you in the next position, like the natural development. But yeah, you're not gonna really be able to clear up the push from Winchester. You give Winchester time to move the relics, etc., etc.
Do you think that Tato has a slight feeling that he's not able to micro as well as Winchester right now? Because there's a bit of hesitancy at times. And like now there's no hesitancy from Tato as he goes in here. But I've noticed that Winchester moves forward with such confidence, even if he shouldn't be moving in. He's just going in.
Yeah.
And I think that can get in your head when you're the opponent.
Yeah, quite possibly. It could also just be a confidence thing. Vincester's, it's been working out for him, so he's just going to continue going for it. It could just be like the day thing as well. Tato just not feeling 100% on point. But honestly, Winchester's micro is super solid. So, yeah. He's looking really good in that department.
Yeah, got good conversions. Should delete the light cav now. Well timed there.
1 for 1.
Now he could, start to push in a little bit. Tato making a ram. We're going to have a ram v ram battle here. But there's only 4 monks for Tato. There could be more monks for Vinch. Plus, Vinch has light cav coming in. And this could be problematic for Tato. It could also lead to light cav conversions because he charged the conversions.
Oh, it gets a couple? But see, this is literally criminal. How is Tato giving up the map control at the cost of Imp? He's up 15 vills. He's clicked Imp, which means he doesn't have the rest to put into military on the field right now. And Winchester just has the free pass into his base. This is so unnecessary. Tato even has banked res. We need to be on some kind of units on the field right now.
Yeah, and I think that to your point earlier in the series, it's optimally you could probably click Imp and then make the units and get good micro, but it's a high pressure scenario against a strategy that could swing either way. Sometimes playing it safe and putting your foot on the gas is the way to do it here. And Tato's under fire from monks, and he's going to lose his buildings on the front now as everything's falling apart.
And just for the viewers here as well, if you charge on a building, you switch it to a unit, you almost always insta-convert that unit, even if it's a light cav, just because the building charge takes so long. So that's why Redemption gets double value there. And now, Winchester is in the prime position. He is going to have the map control, forward castle, and then he'll click Imp right after that. Tato's not out of it. But Winchester's playing his style consistently here.
Yeah, I love it. And Tato's going to drop his own castle, build up towards Trebs eventually. He'll be an Imp in a moment. But how are you supposed to have a clean eco now with the Burgundians when there's units all over your base? You've got a quick wall. You're going to make mistakes at this type of position. It's just going to happen. And Vinch is untouched at home, and he too clicks up to Imp. But this castle, I think, is just to buy time. I think he will even repair it to buy time, but he's never expecting this castle to stay up here.
That castle just holds the 5 relics. Simple as that. Castle buys himself time. He keeps the relics. Relics are super crucial to the Lithuanian late game, as we talked about. And it's the kind of thing where if Tato can push back here and reclaim his base, he's still in a decent position. But if Winchester holds the position for long term, it's an easy win in late game if you got all 5 relics here, or at least it should be.
So annoying. You're trying to go pikes, and 2 of your barracks got converted. That's so annoying. Even
the other guy can go pikes
converted.
Yeah.
Vinch has got amazing value.
Yeah, Lightus are so good here as well.
I mean, if you're really confident, you could just wait to snipe the Trebs from Tato, and then the game's over. But I think that might be considered too risky. I know you've got your Castle Fire to work with, but Tato should be expected to be able to protect his trebuchets coming out of this castle right now.
Yeah, if Tato loses any Treb here, I consider it a massive mistake. You got monks, you got pikes. There's no excuse to be losing any of those.
Yeah. No gold, though. Like, he can't get Halb.
Yeah, no gold.
He can't make many more Trebs.
It's crazy that Tato has such a score lead. I mean, obviously, it's Imperial Age click for Winchester.
Yeah.
But I would say the position is so heavily in Winchester's favor right now. I actually felt like Tato should have been in a much better position at this point right now.
Yeah. Winchester's been able to just toss in units freely. He doesn't really care too much about how cute it looks. No hesitation at times. And he's going to now convert houses on the left, which will house Tato. Oh, God. As if it could get any worse for Tato. What would be ironic is if Tato pushes this back and then later on that houses Winchester.
As he converts it back. Yeah. Oh, Heresy. Wow. Heresy coming in for Winchester. 1,000 gold investment so that your units die when they get converted. What do you think about that one? It's a bit ambitious.
I like how he doesn't hesitate.
Yeah. But, he goes for it.
But I mean, I'm not sure that's what I would have researched here. I think I would actually be relocating my relics out of the monastery into my base and prepping some more buildings currently. I think that would be my plan.
Yeah, going into hand cannoneer, hand cannon, bomber cannon. Lithuanians do have those options. That being said, Winchester, as I've been saying, like, no hesitation on these aggression, on these plays. Continues to snipe monks with his lightest running around.
Yep, happy to take some kills where he can get them. Those Tato probably can't balance his eco all that well with everything that's happening. Vinch is getting conversions with what's left of his monks. They're actually pretty nice conversions here. Tato, though, still with the lead in this game, and the relics are on the doorstep for him. So if he just pushes out with Halb, Monk, he should be okay. Do you make your own Halbs here if you're Vinch, or is that the wrong play? Do you have to go just for, like, gunpowder and hope it doesn't all get converted?
I'd go gunpowder. You already have Heresy. I think gunpowder skirm is actually great. You open gunpowder, you work your way to skirm. You already have the pike teched into, so yeah, that's going to be great for you.
I said whoa because the latest just chose to engage here against the pikes, and that was a ridiculous clear.
Yeah.
Whoa, there was like 12 units in there for Tato, and he ended up losing all of them. It's just delaying his push even further.
Yeah. And now the silver lining here for Tato, to be honest, and I say that silver lining, he's up 1,000 score, but it's just the map control is such a big factor here. So I feel like the position still feels pretty solid for Winchester, but Tato will be able to take that gold, that stone. He'll take all those minerals back since he got pushed off them earlier, but they're still there for him.
Yeah, it's going to be Halb, which Tato is used to protect himself. He's got his Trebs, which can go for the monasteries or the production buildings, and I choose the ranges first, honestly. And then your gunpowder, as the Burgundians, does more damage than the gunpowder that Winchester feels like he's going to naturally fall into. So Winchester has played incredibly aggressive, incredibly well, and maybe at times we could even question Tato's decisions, but he's stayed true to his civilization. He's on the composition, which works so well against everyone, and he still had more res collected. So it's crazy. Tato's going to see those relics and be very happy to know that they're still available for him.
Yeah, that's actually a big deal. Winchester only now got handcart and heavy plow, so maybe his economy was not as good as it should have been up until this point. It's actually quite an even game on the numbers right now.
Yep.
And Winchester is taking back the relics. That is such a crucial moment. Take them all back. Get the hell out of there right now while you can. That's huge.
Run away. Oh, man.
That is nice.
Yeah, I mean, you can live with 4-1. That's okay. So that's fine. It is interesting to me that he has chosen to place his new monastery relatively near the front of his base, but he maybe figures if he loses his ranges, he's dead anyways.
Yeah.
So he kind of needs to hold some control in the front here. Dang.
Yeah.
Winchester, 160 pop. Will have 4 relics. We'll see if the 5th comes in. He's on more hand cannons than Tato is. Tato's gone Hussar, though, which I really like. A Hussar adds amazing value here, and the upgrades are cheaper with the Burgundians. So you just have a bit of a meat shield, which allows your hand cannons to get better damage output from behind everything.
This is the first time in this game where Tato is now having the map control. He's gaining it slowly. He's pushing back all the buildings that Winchester had. And Winchester actually might be hard-pressed to remake some of these buildings quickly because he decided to make them in the middle.
Yeah.
And that was the first target. Had he made them in his base, they would have been a lot safer. Now he's making new ones in his base. But he lost a lot of time with less production buildings.
I also don't like the decision from Vinch. He's going to go Cav as well, but your opponent's already on Halb. I think the decision for Tato to do it makes sense because your opponent has gunpowder and your opponent has monks. But to try and go for your own Cav here is probably not as successful as just going Halb. But similar to what we said before, when you're under pressure, it's tough to make the decisions. And we do have barracks going up as well for Vinch. So they're just trying to do a combination of things right now. Tato kind of on the clock here in some ways, though. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure. He's got no relics. And, you know, the Lithuanian late game is still quite solid. It's not like it's lacking or anything like that.
And Tato's going to go lead skirm, which I think is a great decision. But might not be so great if Winchester has the cav and the trebs.
Nice.
Took out a bombard cannon. Oh, that's so tilting.
It's so dumb. I hate that mechanic, bro. RNG and your most important, your most expensive units down. It's so funny.
Yeah, but the bombard cannons can move, bro, with their little legs. The trebs have to back up.
Because of the inaccuracy of the treb, sometimes you move and you still get hit. That's the dumb part about it.
John Slow said yesterday, he said Warwolf can sometimes nerf you.
Yes.
Because if the opponent micros against Warwolf with bombard cannons, they are always dodging. Whereas otherwise, it's kind of luck of the draw.
Yeah, it's literally just how it plays out pretty much. Yeah, definitely a good take there.
Yeah.
And it seems like Winchester is overboomed a little bit here, 162 bills. I don't like to use that term too often because it's usually nice to bank up res. But I feel like right now, you just need to get some army down to hold the position, and you don't care to bank up res.
Yeah, and also the castle on the left. It's an in-the-moment decision, but Tato's going to swing right over there. He's going to see that. He's okay with not denying it because he'll just trev that down. And it seems like Vinci really tried everything to hold this, but I mean, he's missing so many blacksmith upgrades compared to Tato. He's going to start to lose map control. I think Tato could finally breathe a little bit. I'm sure there was a lot of pressure on him because of being down 3-1 and almost losing this game. This could be a big one for Tato's confidence, a big momentum swing, like you said, to take us deeper into this final, and maybe the comeback's possible for him.
Yeah, I do believe Winchester's prioritizing the wrong things, though. He's getting armor on the hand cannoneer when he probably just needs skirms on the field. Skirms would be the much better choice. Skirm Halb is actually what Lithuanians want right now. They don't really care to have hand cannons, and I feel like Winchester's not going towards his ideal comp at the moment. He's going Wing Hussar hand cannoneer, and I don't think that's correct on Arena right now.
I would like to see that Halb upgrade. We talked about the value Halb, just the Halb upgrade could bring. But he's not really able to get the gold for it right now. In terms of siege, we are going to have 2 cannons for Vinch in a second. For Tato, there's the 2 trebs and 1 bomber cannon. So there's actually not a lot of siege to really push positions. So I think this will mean that Vinch actually has time to get some upgrades, figure out a unit comp. And, I mean, Tato's got a castle right across from Winchester on this right side. Vinch doesn't see that, but Tato knows where Winchester's is.
Yep.
So he could just go over that right now.
Yeah, and because Tato just reclaimed all the map, he's actually mining a lot of gold and stone in the center. So we talked about him being on a timer, but the timer is backed up with a lot of initial resources here.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if Winchester can actually hold this here as Tato's moving forward.
I don't know. Tato only has 2 trebs. And he just lost the bomber cannon. And and Vinch will soon have 4 bomber cannons and a treb. So I actually think Tato's push may stall here.
True, losing that cannon was actually pretty big. And I like that castle position on the right side, but only if we're the one pushing, because Winchester obviously has his own castle here.
Yep.
And Vinch is getting a lot of time on 162 vills. Like, that's a crazy amount of villagers.
Yeah, it hasn't been punished for the overboom.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And possibly a point now, because he's clearly mentally said, oh boy, I need to stop making vills. There's a moment where if he sees his queue is good enough, he deletes 20 of them and then spikes an army count here.
Yeah. And that would definitely be a turning point. But he's taking really good trades with this composition. Again, he went for a greedy comp as well. Like, Hussar and hand cannon is such a greedy comp. You can get punished so in so many different ways by saving up for that, those 2 units.
Yep.
And yeah, I feel like Tato kind of stalled out a little too much.
Yeah, Tato could lose his trebs here. Looks like he will lose his trebs. Vinch attack rounds between them, which is the way to do it. Gets more value from the shots. Doesn't take the final one. Never mind. Yes, he does.
Grabs it. Yeah.
But he has no meat shield now, Winchester. And the Hussars are here from Tato. And Tato could kind of return the favor. He can't take out the castle yet from Vinch, but he could take out some of the siege here.
Yeah. Better trade for Tato, but he is on a timer, so that stalls the push again.
Yeah.
But he did kill more siege. And this is the problem for Winchester not having Halb, means you don't have a good way to defend your siege.
Yep.
Halb is so crucial here. And he's sleeping on it right now.
Yeah, if he has Halb in the mix as well, I think I almost prefer his position, even though he's under pressure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the 5 relics behind it all is also really massive, right?
But remember earlier we talked about, I think it was the Ethiopian game, where we're like, okay, good from Tato maybe to get Halb ahead of time. Sometimes you're stretched for res, so he just had to sell a bunch of wood to get it. But at least he has recognized that that is an important thing for him now. And Tato just gets Burgundian vineyards, so now his farms are going to bring in some gold for him.
That's another tech we forgot to mention, by the way. That's another thing that helps so much in Arena. That trickle of gold despite having no relics.
Yep. And I think something that Tato has just realized is, what am I doing? My opponent doesn't have a castle on the left anymore. He should have never been taking these resources.
True.
So let's raid that.
Yeah.
And now, as he reacts there, I can pressure that castle on the right-hand side, which Tato continues to do.
A little sloppy, though. Getting a little too close there, losing some valuable units. And it's the kind of thing where Tato needs 4 trebs, and one shot, you got to push this all back right now. We don't have any more chances to lose trebs because the gold that we're mining is running out.
It's interesting, though. Vinch only has 6 on gold. So he has the 5 relics, but Tato has 25 on gold. I'm still seeing 2 areas outside of his base where there's gold, and they are all castled and protected.
Yeah.
And another bombard cannon's going to go down for Vinch. Yeah, I think Tato is very close to winning this game and taking us to a game 6.
Hoarding masonry is so like opposite of our game plan. This is something that at high level people still make this mistake. We're on a timer. We're down 5 relics. We don't need fortifications on our castles. We need forward buildings to put more pressure on our opponent. We can't let this stall out. And those upgrades are only good for stalling out games. And I feel like that's 600, 700 res, actually more, 1,000 res that Tato just kind of wasted right there. In broad daylight.
Making halbs, making hand cannons. Vinch trying to be creative, but if you try and be creative, you're going to run into castle fire, you're going to run into walls. You have to stop this push. Vinch doesn't have a single siege weapon being created right now. I find it very difficult to know how he pushes this. And it's slow, but it is a good, solid map control creep here from Tato. And look at Vinch's woodline, by the way. He has so many lumberjacks outside of his walls. To the right of this hair, he's got 45 lumberjacks.
Just exposed.
They've got a death wish.
There's so many trees in his base as well. There's no reason to be outside like that. That's crazy talk.
That's so funny. What in the world? Hey, crop rotation from Vinch, just in case this game goes on for a while. I guess he'll want it to.
Tato's just throwing res on these late game options. 5 relics. He's throwing the game here, man, on crop rotation of all upgrades. It's really, really bad. I don't want to be too negative, but
I think Tato is really missing forward production.
Yeah,
just a couple more buildings there. And also I could speak from experience on this. When you're under pressure and you sometimes move too fast, you can't breathe, you can't think properly. Just be like, okay, I have the siege. Let's just get a couple buildings to back this up and go in again. But he's kind of giving Vinch a little bit of time.
Yeah.
I still struggle, man. Like, Vinch doesn't have that many halbs. I feel like any time that Winchester shows up with siege to push back a castle, Tato's just going to be able to pick it off. And I don't know if 5 relics are enough, because you've got... Okay, you've collected 5k gold from those relics. Let me look. Tato's got... Actually...
He's going elite couturier. What the hell? That's crazy.
What?
Is he overestimating vineyards? Because vineyards is good, but it's not as good a trickle as the 5 relics, right?
He only has like 900 gold left to mine.
Yeah, I think elite couturier is like him saying, I need to all-in push, and I think the extra cavalry power is going to help. I think he just needed some more cannons, so I think that's kind of the trick.
Vinch has just lost 2 bomber cannons, though.
Oh, true.
He lost 2 bomber cannons, means he has just the 1 treb he created to try and push back. And this is huge from Tato. He knows it's got to be like one big swing here, and he's going to wait for 2 trebs and 4 bomber cannons. He's always been working on 1 treb or like 1 or 2 cannons, but this is the type of push, especially if he drops a castle next to it, that could actually win him this game.
Yeah, this is it. This is what he's been building to. This is the one push he wants. He now has the elite couturier. He's going for the forward castle, by the way, on the left-hand side, which will secure more golden stone to fuel the push. And now, even though Winchester has fortified walls, the relics are actually rangeable with the trebs.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think it's worth taking out the monastery, but you are also warning Winchester to move them further back. So there's a part of me that doesn't actually like doing that. But I love the castle. That's more gold for him to mine. Winchester trying to snipe the cannons. will get the cannons, but Tato lost 2 trebs.
Yeah.
And Vinch just doesn't have the army, dude. He's got lumberjacks exposed on the right. Any moment Tato heads over there with any cav, all those vills are dead. And I think Tato could finally do this. It's been such a nice hold from Vinch, and it was such a good initial push, but Tato has had, in my opinion, the better army composition this whole way through, because he's prioritized Al more than anything.
I agree. Bro, trust me, I'm the Hussar guy, and Hussar is just not the play on Arena. It's just not the play. We sunk so much res into that, and they're not even special. The Winged Hussar from Lithuanians are very, like, they have 5 extra HP over regular Hussar, and an attack bonus with gunpowder. That's all they get over regular Hussar, and it's just not enough. If you tell me he's going lightest with the extra relics, that's powerful, sure.
Yeah.
But the Winged Hussar were just not it. It took a lot of our resources away from us, and I felt like Tato definitely just had the better units, better comp.
Yep. And I like Vinch's approach overall because I stated earlier, and I still believe Lithuanians shouldn't beat Burgundians. They just shouldn't. I think he could have in this game with how it played out. He did a really good job giving himself an opportunity to, but you know, it's really tough. And so I loved Winchester's approach. Right now, he's going to try. He does have a castle on the left. Tato's trying to treb, and then underneath that, he's got a treb trying to take down Tato's castle. He's trying there. And still, Tato, you know, hasn't exactly pushed in too far here to Vinch's eco, where Vinch has got 65 on food. Maybe this is doable. Tato's mining gold furiously underneath that castle, too, just in case he loses it.
He needs that. Winchester's trying his best, man. He's pulled back some relics. He's pulled back 4 relics. He still has 2 castles in his base, so this is still doable.
He also took out one of the trebs from Tato. Is he gonna get the next one too? What?
Bro, we're getting guilds as well. Like the upgrade prioritization in this game, man. I can't deal with it. Guilds pays off in like half an hour, boys. Like that's not what we need right now.
Well, I guess you spend gold on guilds, which is the issue, right?
Yeah, it takes up some valuable resources from right now.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy.
Oh, man. Both players going to run out of stone. The first player to run out of stone will be Tato, but again, Vinch wants to go in to take out that treb. You know, Tato, if he only knew Vinch was out in the open, like, come and kill me on the right-hand side, he could kill 30 bills. Good save there on the treb, though. Beautiful save on the treb from Tato. Still will lose a bombard cannon. Still could lose his castle. Vinch is buying stone. He's hoping he can keep his castle up. He can hold on to the relics.
Wow.
And that he can take that gold again.
Bro, it's literally all about the relics right now. If Winchester didn't have the relics, this game is cooked. But the relics are keeping that hope alive that in super late game he can win. And Tato still has gold to mine. So Tato's been mining gold this entire time. If that runs out, maybe the situation completely flips here. 164 pop from Winchester. He's working with 30 less pop on the field.
Crazy.
That's a pretty big deal. Yeah.
But Tato has 100 units in queue, which is so often a good indicator of who's going to win a game, right? Vinch has been at the limit for a very long time, and he's only halbs in queue, couple skirms in queue. It's doable because Tato can't kill him right now, though, Hera.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
the
he
castle.
sees some Hussar to the left.
The castle.
The castle. It's going to go down. It's going down. Out of stone to repair.
Ooh.
Castle's down. We're working with 1 more castle in our base. That's all we have. And Tato is relentless with the pressure right now.
And Tato has located some vills on the right. So if he looks over there, he's going to be like, oh, okay. And a couple Hussars will head over there. And then Vinch's population is going to plummet.
Yep.
Big halb mass, though. We have 54 halbs. It's a shame that he never got the unique tech for his halbs.
Yeah, that would be great for sure.
But that's enough halbs where they will push back the skirms. And
actually, no, he does have the unique tech for the helps. He does.
Does he?
For armor, yeah.
I thought it was more than that after the unique tech.
No, the skirms are the super tanky ones.
Oh yeah.
The halbs don't. Yeah.
Because they lack the final. They lack the final armor upgrade. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The skirms are like 10 pierce armor or something.
Yeah, those guys are crazy.
Oh, but Hussar's still finding picks. And that one Hussar could kill all those villagers. And Tato does have Blast Furnace. And so his halbs are the stronger of the pointy boys. And Tato's... He needs to finish the guy off. But there is a concern. He's got no gold now. There is a concern. Maybe Lithuanians could do it. But the more I think about it, I think Burgundians might actually have the better trash.
No, they do.
Just because of Blast Furnace on the halbs.
Lithuanians got changed so much in the last couple of years because we want to rebalance like their cavalry. But in doing that, their halberdier took a huge hit. They missed one armor over regular halbs, and they missed 2 attacks. So it's 3 damage swing if it's halb versus halb, and that's such a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense. They can't have everything, right?
Yeah.
Burgundians can for arena.
Oh yeah. But Celts can't get the militia speed in Dark Age.
Celts can't get the militia speed in Dark Age. Yeah, you know, we can't have a little bit of variation in Dark Age. Don't get me started here, all right?
Chatbram now coming in for Tato, and he also picks up the guilds, which at this point, fair enough.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, Winchester has a lot of gold. He's got 600 gold, but if you really consider like what gold units he's making, not much. He probably should buy food and only make like 1-2 cannons, and the rest is just military.
That's what Vinch needs. He has no space, dude. I'm looking around. Yeah. Where can he make siege workshops? He's making one up against the woodline in the back of his base, but he genuinely is just out of room to breathe. And I think Tato's finally done it. It was a long, crazy, messy game. One of those games that can happen in a long series and in an important final. And obviously one that Tato needs. And, you know, maybe this is an exhausting game for Vinch. Maybe there's a little bit of, you know, coulda, woulda, shoulda, things he would have wanted to change in this game that lives in his mind heading into the next game. And all that stuff can add up a little bit. In a final. By the way,
Tato's forward production now, this is a textbook how to push in late game. You push with production because not only do you take the space away from your opponent, but you also reinforce much closer to his base. So you basically just never lose fights. This is the way you win when you're not supposed to win late games, basically, or when you have that momentum, but it's kind of a stalemate. The forward siege workshops or forward buildings do it, and in this case, Tato gets that win back. Start of a reverse sweep, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, that was the big one, right? On paper, he should always win with Burgundians, but it was also a really high civ pick for Winchester. It was pick number 2. So both players now, if I'm not mistaken, have used their top 2 picks, and we'll be looking more to the lower civilizations where things are maybe a little less figured out. But yeah, it's been a really good final. We knew it would be when we saw the semis because the semis were so solid.
Yeah.
Tato didn't collect near as much gold, but he didn't need it. And, you know, just halb, skirm, combination of cannons, and monk got the job done. Very well played to him. It is not easy to have a game go over an hour without the relics and to win. So, normally the hour mark is when it really starts to feel bad.
And it just, in case you missed it, but 7k gold for Winchester off relics. So he got the benefit on the lightest, the few he made, but he got 7k gold from having those relics, and it still wasn't enough. Burgundians were able to do it there. I don't know how big of a factor Burgundian vineyards were or was, but I think it was obviously something helping out there.
It probably paid for itself, right? But I think the big thing for him was he took all the neutral golds in the middle. He took there were 2 golds behind both of those middle castles, and then he's currently even mining what's left of the gold from Winchester there. So, yeah, while Winchester had the gold from the relics, he had mined way less gold in this game. It really does show you the power of relics to see that big number.
Yeah, let's see how it plays out here. These 2 civs, though, I mean, Khmer can do like that fast up forward castle shenanigans, try to get the map and end the game early in Imp. But I think the Tatars is not the civ to do that with. They don't really have the right toolbox to forward castle, win the map, and win early Imp. They like to go super late game most of the time here.
All right, so I've seen Vinch play Khmer a lot. And in this tournament, he's gone for the standard approach, which is add a stable. You can skip the barracks, which is quite nice. And then just add eco, get relics, and adapt from there. That's the standard approach, which we actually haven't seen a lot of in this final. There's been very few games where both players are just going light cav, if any at all, actually. There's always been some variation of it. What Winchester did, which was just incredible against Valeza, was he went 23 pop fast castle into immediate town centers. So he didn't add the stable, didn't add the monastery, got the eco lead, and then he added the stable, and in that game, he was able to use his starting scout and then a new scout he created to kill 2 monks and just delays the relics entirely from the opponent. So I'm curious to see if he's going to opt for the boom again because he's got nice back gold, nice back stone. Woodlines are okay, but he might prioritize map control against Tatars, who I think will almost always go for light cav here.
Do you have a pause, by the way?
I do, yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm just wondering it's not a bug. Okay. Yeah, I really like that approach of just like fighting for the relics, but not making a monastery yourself and just running around sniping monks. I think I'd like to see that approach from both players here, if you ask me. Because this is definitely like a light cav matchup at first.
Yep. But
it's funny because oh yeah, go ahead.
No, you're good.
Yeah, I was just gonna say like cav archers and crossbows used to be an option on arena, but crossbows been nerfed, and people realized just how strong light cav are with the combination of monks, and cav archers don't really compete too well with that because the monks just convert them. So just want to quickly mention how light cav just ends up being like the only option to like map control from home kind of thing.
Yeah, makes sense. The way I think about it is, even if Tato watched how Winchester played and expects Winchester to go for the TCs before the stables, there's still no big reason for him not to go for a stable, because at the end of the day, that's map control and relics. But the big reason for Winchester to delay the stable, in my eyes, is you can get a really big villager lead. And your opponent almost feels like they have to do it for the stable, and they have to invest more than you because of the barracks and then the stable. So you get to the TCs faster, you delay the scouts, and I mean, I only saw it once, and it worked really well, so that's why I like the strat so much, but I really feel like it could be strong here for Vinch.
I also like what Winchester did with that one Khmer farm, by the way. Khmer farms really fast, and if you make one next to the wood line, you can farm it out. When it runs out, you just go to wood.
Yep.
It's just a good way to keep things efficient and let you benefit off that farming bonus as quickly as possible.
As someone says, this is honestly something that people are going to have different opinions on, but someone says they think that Tato's done a mistake here, and he has the momentum, and he should go for his strongest civ. And honestly, I could see arguments, use the momentum, get another win, take even more momentum into the 7th game. But
yeah.
I think the previous game, it made sense. You're down bad. You're down 3-1. Here, it's like, I'm here to win this thing, right? I'm not here for momentum. I need to try and get my best matchups. And Vinch is in more of that feeling of needing to use his best pick, needing to get momentum. So I actually like saving your better civ for the decider.
The decider.
And if I'm ever down like 2-0 or whatever in a best of 5, I'm still not using my best civilizations, I think, as bad as that sounds. Like, if I get 3-0'd, whatever. People make fun of me because I'm a caster anyways, so it doesn't matter. In the event that I can start to get the comeback rolling, I want to give myself the best chances later on in the series.
What
do you think
I
about
can
that?
see both. I see both perspectives on that. So here's my take. I think from a player perspective, it obviously depends on like how much of a mental player you are. But because it's a one map tournament, it actually just ends up being random if you think about it. It's a mind game, sure, trying to see how the other guy thinks. But because we're only playing arena, if Tato picks the strongest civ here, it's kind of 50-50 what Winchester goes for. So in the end, it is random. If there's different maps, then it could be more strategic. But at the end of the day, it's random. It should just be a comfort pick for the player. Whatever you feel comfortable with, just go for that right away.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think what hurts is like, sometimes you want to rip the Band-Aid off with the comfort thing and be like, okay, I prefer to play the civ that I struggle with the most now instead of later, So but I mean, also this is mainly a conversation that we have like talked about with such depth because it's arena.
Yeah, exactly. There's not much else to consider. Especially deep into arena set, like we've already been through like the styles of these players, and we've seen everything there's to see in Feudal Age.
I love this from Vinch. This is going to be the boom build. I think it will be, because the last time I saw him do this, I remember feeling like it wouldn't have been realistic for him to drop the town center and the stable. Yeah, this is up real quick. And there's not much you can really do about it if you're Tato. You will be later to Castle Age. If you want to catch up economically, you could boom. And it seems as though that's the choice for Tato as he goes for the market and the blacksmith. And I'm not sure if I love it, honestly, Hera, but I think it's because he knows that he'll be behind economically.
Yeah. The problem is, I was just thinking maybe Tato can boom, then make one monastery and contest the relics. But it's like you said, Winchester can boom and then just slap down a stable. It's such a cheap investment.
Yep.
And he can then see you picking up relics and then just adapt so quickly. And that flexibility that Khmer gets is probably the strongest advantage, I think, in this kind of matchup. I like the boom approach from Tato. I think that's good.
Okay.
The relics aren't winning you this game.
I think it's very well balanced, though. I like it, right? You have the Khmer flexibility. There's all these fun things you talk about, but then there's very clearly a moment where later on they have a lead, but they're not exactly sure how to utilize it.
Yeah.
You know, there are other examples of like the stronger civilizations on Arena where it's you just can't do anything wrong, right? Like Burgundian's previous game, it's like, oh wow, a couple of poor decisions were made, but your eco's flying, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh no, we're running out of gold. Oh, okay, we get some gold from our relics, right? So this one, it becomes more interesting on both sides of things, as we'll see a stone TC first for Vinch, which is interesting. It just becomes more interesting because even Tatars have their weaknesses, right? They don't have the bombard cannons. You mentioned maybe even skirms are a possibility for the Khmer for once because there's no bombard cannons. I really like these matchups. Like these matchups is what have excited me about Masters of Arena 7 and their drafting process. Because otherwise you wouldn't see this.
Yeah. It's actually the only reason I'm to be honest, casting. And it's the only reason why I felt bad about not signing up for myself. Obviously, I was traveling when it happened, so I couldn't play. Yeah, normally I'm not interested in Arena. But with this drafting, it kind of brings up a more interesting event overall. And yeah, I mean, Khmer Tatars, I've never seen this matchup before, and this is what kind of keeps me so hooked on it. And I love Winchester's opening. You talked about it, he's going for it, and it's kind of sick to see. But Tato's also doing a nice boom himself here.
Now, the big thing to look at now is will Winchester mine stone a lot on the stone TC? And usually the answer is no at this stage. So that will probably be his farming area for the time being. And because you want villagers on wood right now, so you can just get farms going.
Oh, you're crazy. You know about that? That's crazy. That's a really high yellow tip.
What? TC on
like
wood?
The fact that you want to farm around your stone TC initially.
Yeah.
Because you need wood, so you go ahead and you take wood on your other TC. You don't farm around it, and then you farm around the stone TC. I'm actually really impressed you knew that. By the way,
well, I'm a little offended that you're impressed by that, but
no, I swear not a lot of people know about that. Dude, I've seen Viper float like 1,000 gold, and he's not farming around the gold TC. He's farming around the other ones. So, well, every single player slips on that at some point.
Well, I mean, I would say the problem with that on a map that isn't Arabia is it's hard to have the timings right to add the farms and have the balance because other things are happening. So it's like you go for the stone TC, you think I'm going to make my farms there. And then you're microing, and then you look back, and you're like, "Oh, I have 300 stone, and I guess I'm making a castle soon." You know, so that's
the whole game plan shifts.
Is like really tricky to get right.
Yeah, I feel like on Arena you get like the cleanest kind of booms that you'll expect to see. Nothing really can go wrong, unless there's a big relic fight, of course. But usually, especially in a game like this, you're getting the cleanest boom out of both players. And what's interesting is that Khmer, because of that build, 5 vills lead just out of nowhere.
Yep. Yeah, that and resources brought in should be better now as well to work with. So at this stage of the game, both players will know that the other has not added scouts, though, because they would have seen them otherwise. So that's an interesting little tidbit. You could take this as an opportunity to just add a scout if you're Vinch and take full control of the middle. But also, it's a question of, you know, if you don't get relics, if the starting scout from Tato kills your first couple monks, then suddenly Tato's caught up to you economically. So maybe it's just like no relics for now. They just fight for map control. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Winchester has an easier time getting into the relic fight though, because he can just make the stable, as we talked about, no barrack. Whereas I feel like Tato's investment into the relic fight is really big. Like barrack stable, that's 350 wood, without even making a single unit. So I'm not sure if Tato should get into it, but oh yeah, there you go. Winchester drops a stable. I think that makes more sense. Yeah. He's the guy to really jump in there.
I feel like you have to do it if you're Tato, right? Like you have to get army in the middle, regardless of if you get relics or not.
True.
It has to happen.
Especially against Winchester and what he's been wanting to do lately.
Yeah.
But maybe Tato can get into the middle with cav archers at this point.
Yeah, maybe.
What do you think
it's an idea. I think
it could be interesting.
Cav archer right now, I don't like because you want all that wood for farms. I feel like if anything, you're going to float food, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll tell you why. A big reason I don't like Cav Archer right now is because they're ineffective until you get Fletching and Bodcanero, which could delay your imp a bit. And I know that like Cav, they also cost food, but it's just a much easier. You don't have to micro them as well. It's kind of like on water where it's like fire ships versus galleys, right? Fire
Yeah,
ships
yeah.
just patrol, you know. The galleys you have
Less
to babysit.
investments, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to see the stable. In fact, we're seeing double stable. Because we're jumping into the relic fight way later, double stable is actually not crazy here. I love it, though. It's a really good approach. And Winchester goes one stable, one monastery. And it's the kind of thing where I think Tato, by giving up the monastery, could have the better army for the middle fights.
Finally, this is happening. This is what we mentioned before the Turks-Ethiopians game. So I think I mentioned it after game 2. I was like, we're going to see like double, triple stable. And obviously, it's been very Civ dependent here. But I think we will even see a double and some blacksmith upgrades from Vinch. I wouldn't mind, and Tato's doing it now, so I should have mentioned it earlier, but I really like the camel edition. Because it's mainly
really
scouts.
Smart, yeah.
There's not a lot of monks, so a couple camels here or there, a spearman here or there could be good too, because Tato just killed a scout from Winchester in our first kill of the game.
I have a strategy, and I used it in one tournament, and it lost me the game, but I still think it's pretty good. Tato can make a lot of army, never show it. Vinch goes forward castle, then Tato right away brings out all the army, clears everything, and then goes in.
Interesting.
It's a really risky approach because if Vinch does anything but like the forward castle, he'll be ahead. However, Vinch has been doing that every single game. That being said, though, I mean, look at what Vinch is doing. He's dropping
barracks.
Was that 2 barracks? 1 more stable. Interesting. He's going to go pikes and light cast.
This is always the worst feeling with Khmer, though, because you want to have that initial barracks already. It slows you down more than you think. That light cap from Tato's going to find the pick off. That was so good.
Agreed, though, by the way. Making barracks as Khmer is just criminal. It feels so bad.
I'll avoid it. I'll avoid it forever. Like, I'd rather just go full cav into pikemen before I make my own pikemen.
Yeah, I swear. I'm not making a Vax, bro. That's my bonus. Like, I'm saving the win.
I will not let him win. He will not have the power over me.
I'm saving that wood till I die, man. I'll make 3 more farms every day of the week.
It is probably the right play here, though, because he wants the forward castle. And so, okay, I actually like this. Place a castle that you know you'll get up for now, and then it just protects a stone that you could build the next castle forward with if you want.
And this is what I wanted from Tato all series. Get the army out. Look at what Winchester's done. He can't get the forward castle, and all of a sudden, sure, it's not like Winchester's dead or anything like that, but it's a lot less scary for Tato. If that castle's outside his base, the game ends on the spot.
What's interesting, though, is Tato doesn't know the castle's defensive. He's still prepping for a forward castle. So he's investing into forging. He's going for cav archers. Like, he's all in.
Yeah.
And him not knowing that castle's there is really interesting, because I think if he knew the castle was there, he might have just backed off a little bit.
Yeah, he sees it now. Let's see how his reaction shifts here. He still goes for the fletching. He should know his opponent's up to imp because of the score here. The score dipped pretty big, pretty significantly. And I think Tato could work towards imp if he wants to. But he's on 4 TC at the same time as well.
Oh, this. I think there's still potential for Vinch here. It's crazy how he was able to make so many light cav and get the pikeman upgrade and still click up. That's Khmer farms for you.
Yeah.
You bring in food so quickly. He's brought in over 1,000 food. That's pretty much the difference in the game right now. And
Tato could go imp first, like click imp, and then go mass army.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even commit for the siege war if I'm Tato here, because the siege war kind of relies on the guy who's got the momentum into imp. Whereas if you just go for mass army, you can give up some ground and you get trapped a bit. But if you can then stabilize and start winning fights, that would be much more fruitful than just winning a treb war here.
Honestly, Tato, can we please add a knight to this army? We've got a camel, we've got a step lancer, we've got light cav, cav archers, pikemen. Yeah, I mean, the thumbnail's ruined right now, bro. Come on, make a knight.
Bro, I need a knight and a ram and select everything and walk. That's what I need right now. Every single player who's played any campaign or like a game against the AI knows that feeling.
Oh, we've got a ballista elephant on the field as well. Let's go. I mean, we've got really getting everything here, but it's hard to control everything. Sometimes it's better to just stick to, 2 main units. And Tato's now up, but I think his main comp here will be cav archers, and he will be under a lot of pressure before he can get that ball of cav archers.
Yeah, I mean, let's see how he goes for it. He actually adds barracks, so he's committed to halberdier first and then cav archers, or maybe both at the same time. Castle all the way at the back. So he's not participating in the treb war. If he was, the castle would be at the front, but naturally he's obviously way further behind. He can't participate. And it's kind of what I said, where you just give up the early imp, you're gonna get trebbed. But if you can build up some army here and eventually win fights, it could be nice.
Yep. I think Finch is not going to push it any further here. I could be wrong, but it feels similar to some other instances in this series where he's like, ooh, I kind of like my position. I got nice castle set up. I could maybe make outposts around the map, and we really take this late. If he was breaking in right now, obviously he might like really go for it. Oh god, he's in with the light cav. Tato, you better cook all these.
Oh, but that's a bait. That's 200 IQ from Tato here. That's
yeah.
Sick.
And a beautiful block on the monk as well. The monk survives and he converts a friend. Nice.
Yeah, that's actually pretty big. That's not even a mistake from Winchester. Well played from Tato. Vinch does get the information though. He does see that there's going to be cav archers on the field. He sees how many ranges. He sees the castle at home. So that's still not bad for Vinch. But Tato's up 10 bills. He's going to be now in Imperial Age. And I do believe he's got the better comp here. I like Tato's position.
Another castle. I was wrong. Vinch trying to get closer and closer. But that is not a castle that is a confident castle. That's a castle that tells us that he knows that the cav archers will be tough to stop here. This is the highest pick civilization for Winchester.
Wow. And
Tato, I mean, could potentially deny this castle if he gets close enough and take us to a game 7 here.
Nah, Vinch is choking. You're absolutely right about that castle. There's no reason to go for a forward castle here. No reason to push it. He had the middle, and that castle that doesn't accomplish anything. And Tato denies it. He's getting siege engineers. He's setting up his composition. This is fantastic for him right now.
Vinch is committing to more ballistas right now. He's like, you know what? Change of plans. Give me the ballista boys. They're honestly really hard to kill. Like if he had,
it's a good unit.
If he had elite ballista elephant, like 30, 40 of them with 4 trebs, Tato would die right now. But it's going to take a long time to get those units, obviously, and you need double crossbow. But I guess in the end, good from Vinch to just back up. And he's going to have time to mass the ballistas as he does get double crossbow. So 2 bolts flying from these ballistas.
Is it correct to get that before elite? Does anyone know? Like, is that a good play? I feel like I'd want more mass here, actually.
It is slightly cheaper.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you that I would want mass over everything.
Yeah.
But Tato can't really engage against anything that Vinch is doing, so I don't mind it. Wow, even prioritizing siege engineers. He's actually... You know what's interesting is he's prioritizing the text that Tato can't easily see.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if it's elite ballista, you click it and you say, okay, he's committed to ballistas. But with double crossbow or siege engineers, you can't really tell.
That's actually very interesting. Yeah, I like that. That's a good... Oh no, the castle's down. Oh, he deleted
it. Okay.
Whew. Don't do that one.
Tato's getting the
siegecraft coming in.
Yeah, the siegecraft upgrade, which will add +1 range to his trebs. I think it's +2 range, actually.
No, it's +1. It's just that with siege engineer ends up being +2.
+2. Okay. Well, anyways, it also lets him make flaming camels, and flaming camels destroy elephants. It's
+2.
Destroy elephants.
It's 19 range trebs. Sorry, yeah, you're absolutely right about the flaming camels as well, but you were right about this. My bad.
Oh, the range?
19 range.
I think they changed it at one point. I think they added an additional at one point.
19 range trebs is wild, bro. How did I never know about that? That's crazy.
What's funny is Winchester actually did siege engineers and timbered siegecraft to win a crazy game against Valencia yesterday. So this is 2 straight days we've seen that upgrade. Tato is just like double checking.
Wow.
What's the bonus damage on flaming camels versus elephants? He's already making flaming camels. This game is over. This game is so over.
Oh my god. Is it that good?
No, it's insane, dude. You get 3 flaming camels in the middle of 20 elephants and all the elephants die. It's insane.
Okay, now I'm excited. Okay, this is the clickbait we needed here. Castle goes down. Halberdier and cav archers is the main comp for Tato, but of course the elephant transition. The flaming camel transition.
He's making it against the wrong player. I remember a game between Leary and MBL in one of the early Red Bulls where it was elite elephant archers from what was then Indians and against Tatars. And someone did an example video later and was just like, if that person, I think it was MBL, no, if Leary made flaming camels, he would have won that game. Yeah, I'm so pumped for this, to see this.
This is crazy.
I'm so sad for Vinch, though. I hope we have, like, Vinch's face cam right now. He's probably got a big smile on his face, and his face is going to droop just so hard. He's going to be so sad when he sees these flaming camels hit.
Oh, okay. He sees a couple of them. I don't know if he knows how strong they are.
Dude, they wrecked them.
Oh,
they wrecked them. Look at the damage output.
Good.
That was 2.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
There's no
it's
chance.
Basically demos. That's insane. Yeah.
There's no chance. Flaming Camel destroys elephants, and Tato knew it. And to make matters worse, Vinch's castles are in the middle of the map. So he can't...
He's getting heavily trebbed.
Yeah, he can't deal with the trebs as well because he has to run from the camels.
And all of a sudden, Winchester can't transition. The elephants costed way too much. The flaming camels are a perfect counter, it seems. And then comes another one.
Yep. And again, even if he's not killing those elephants, he doesn't have to. He just has to take the building that creates them. And oh my goodness, friends, we are headed towards the Game 7 if this continues like this. Winchester doesn't really have any backup plans here, right? Like, could maybe try Arbalest or Skirmisher, but it would take too long, I think, Hera, to get there.
Yeah. He's going to go Hussar to start things off here. But the problem is, the Hussar also takes a decent amount of damage from the Flaming Camel. So we're going to see a match point in this best of 7 finals in the most obscure way as well. The Flaming Camels countering ballistas to win that game. That's insane.
Good luck outrunning them, elephants. Oh my god.
Oh, that is satisfying. That is sick. I love that.
Oh, finally, after all these freaking years, Tato didn't hesitate at all, man. He made him immediately.
He knew that. Like, he actually just knew that.
Yep.
But it actually comes back. Like, Tato plays team games. He plays a ton of arena. He plays, I'm sure, some community games. So he actually knows a lot of these obscure things that just a 1v1 Arabia player might not ever encounter, which is really cool.
Yeah, and it's also maybe the first time I've seen this be dual purpose, because usually you get that tech and it's for the extra treb range, or it's for the Flaming Camels. But this is actually a practical application of using the treb range and also using the Flaming Camels. And yeah, Vinch is like... I believe he's finished. I mean, he fought on really long in the previous game, but Tato's going to have full map control. Tato's expanding walls on the right side now, so that gold can't be raided, which is really smart thinking. He's got 30 Cav Archers that are soon to be fully upgraded, weren't even before, and he's got Halbs against Hussars.
Yeah. And it's the kind of thing where Winchester doesn't have any advantage. He's got the weaker comp. He's got, like, one extra relic, not that big of a deal. Doesn't have the map, and it's looking like everything that Tato's been building up is going to come swinging across the map now. 19 reach trebs, the Flaming Camels, the heavy CA, a few Halbs. It's the perfect comp, really. It's really the perfect comp.
Yep. And Tato not even wanting to use his Flaming Camels on anything but the elephants. He's like, just show me the elephants, and I'm ready. Because they do good bonus damage versus traditional Cav. But I don't know if it's necessarily worth it when you can just make generic units. But against really expensive units like Paladin or any form of elephant, it just shred them. And but for those that are campaign players, as we see the elephants go in again, Vinch has to spread out. Vinch, be careful. Oof.
That's some good splash hits, man. That's so much damage.
But when this was introduced to the game, there's a campaign. And there's a scene, and the guy's like, send forth the Flaming Camels. And it's Flaming Camels into elephants in the campaign. So the fact that, that also kind of applies here is pretty cool.
Yeah. As a campaign player myself, I love that as well. Like, I actually think the campaigns are fantastic in this game. And to see, like, the campaign units and scenarios applying in pro is, like, the best of both worlds for me.
I mean, Tato didn't take out this castle yet. Vinch has still got 2 castles to make more elephants. And all of Tato's trebs have gone down. And while the Flaming Camels gave us some satisfying booms, if they don't get their hit, just like a demo on water, it is a unit that doesn't get any value from its cost. So, who knows? This is crazy.
Can Vinch actually do this one? He does have the extra relic. Not a huge advantage, but if he can stabilize a comp, it could be a good idea to... win the super late game. But yeah, I mean, this is crazy.
Oh, Tato, I love you so much.
This is just a show. Yeah, I think Vinch has to get off the elephants. He can't continue making them.
Yeah, I think he kind of has to make them because I don't know what else he makes. That's
Heavy Scorpion could be interesting though.
Yeah,
I think Heavy Scorpion should have been the play from the start. It's actually really good against the Tars, to be honest.
What do you think about Tato going for Elite Keshik instead of something like Hussar? Is that 2 gold costly?
I think it's good. I think Keshiks are insane. Yeah, I would go for it probably.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, he wants to go for the kill here. He's prepping a forward castle, and he's got his Treb ready. Not Trebs anymore, but he's making a few more. Remember the
I think
Halbs?
with the 19 range Trebs, you can just sit from really far as well. Like,
Yeah,
that's just really solid.
Yeah. Halbs are always a unit that are beneficial here. Yes, they do die pretty quickly, especially without armor against ballistas, but they're just kind of meant as a meat shield. And there go more flaming camels, and the elephants are so slow. So the flaming camels are going to get through there and destroy the camels. And, you know, the other thing, too, is you have to back up with your main force.
Yeah.
And then
you
it's
can
not
never stand your
contributing.
ground, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Even if you dodge the shots, you're not dealing any damage here. And Tato's got 20 extra pop, and he's knocking at Winchester's doors. I think we're going to a game 7 here.
Yeah, I think we are. And Tato saving Dravidians, his quote-unquote better civilization. Looking pretty good right now. Another flaming camel hit. Nice. And even if it doesn't kill the elephants, it weakens them.
Bro, hear me out. What if Tato went to Tars expecting the Khmer play, knowing he had flaming camels against any elephants? That was the play from Tato.
Maybe. I think Tato would just say that it felt right in the moment. I don't think that he expected Winchester to go for Ballista Elephants, because I'm not even sure Winchester expected to go Ballista Elephants. I think Winchester went Ballista Elephants when he realized his castles weren't going to go up, and like his initial push wasn't going to break Tato. But this game is over, Hera. And
yeah,
we've mentioned momentum quite a few times over the last hour, so I mean, who has momentum? The guy that died to the flaming camels, or the guy who won with the flaming camels?
We're going into game 7. Tato has better civs on the draft and all the momentum, all the confidence. And he's streaming, so his chat's probably all like hyping him up because of the flaming camels too.
Yeah,
so he must be feeling great right now.
I love it. It's such a good decision. And I'm glad that this finally happened because, no offense because I'm talking to one, but pro players can be so freaking stubborn. They won't make something they should because they didn't see someone else win with it. That happens. And so I believe this is the start. Over the next year, there will be occasional instances where there's actual applications with the flaming camel, usually against elephants. I think in team games. Yeah. And also, like, I think you could genuinely go have Tatars in a 4v4 team game tournament if you expect the enemy to go elephants. I think it could maybe be.
Okay, now you're wilding because we're not picking a civ just in case our 45 minutes into the game our opponent goes elephants.
Oh, come on. It's pretty good, dude.
You had me in the first half. I was like, yeah, bro, I agree. Like, we'll see more. And then you're like, well, pick the Tars just in case in 4v4. Like, that's a little too much for me.
Well, it's not. No. It's not your top pick, but it's like you need a good throwaway pick on one of those maps you don't like, right? So like AM has to play on some map they're not a fan of. They're like, all right, we need something YOLO in case they go for elephants.
Bro, if I suggest we're gonna pick a civ to counter elephants with flaming camels, I'm off the team. I ain't playing that game even.
Larry would be like, they don't even get armor blast. Halbs get no
Can't
armor.
play that civ.
Yeah. Well, what a game here from Tato. It's easy to get, a little too crazy when we see flaming camels like this. But yeah, Tato utilized it to perfection with no hesitation. Queued them up the second he saw elephants. However, we should say what I think was the most successful thing for Tato in this game was preventing the forward castle from Vinch. He made a lot of army, and Winchester was not planning on doing anything but Trebs, a good Hussar timing, and a good Halb timing. And he fell back to elephants because he realized he wasn't able to break Tato, and that was all down to denying the initial castle spot. Very impressive.
To be honest, though, and this isn't even hindsight bias because we kind of knew Vinch's approach from last set. This is what Tato should have done in every single game that he lost to a forward castle. If he had done some kind of military, the game would turn out like this.
Yep.
And I'm not saying Tato would win every single time, but it makes the game a lot more balanced. You just don't give full map control to your opponent. Like, that's just never a good idea. And yeah, this was beautifully played from Tato from start to finish in terms of strategies.
Yeah. So, I mean, perfect final as far as Masters of Arena 7 is concerned. We've had some cool units. We've had some great games. We have a close series. Game 7 will be coming up. Tato's been able to claw it back here, man. And, like, the big one for him was the previous game, I think. I mean, the Burgundians one would maybe on paper be expected, but the fact that he was able to pull out the stops in the previous game, bring himself to a situation here in Game 7 now, where we maybe think that Dravidians actually have that timing to be able to stop the Magyars before they get to late game. Just crazy, crazy stuff here.
Yeah. I want to take a little moment to brag here, T90, because I called at the end of the quarterfinals that Tato was the favorite to win it. I said the winner of Viper Tato wins the tournament. And then I also said, but Winchester's looking scary. So the fact that we're here now at 3-3, if Tato wins, my prediction is 100% correct, and I feel really good about myself. But yeah, props to both these two players for, I think, showing the highest level of arena we've seen in a long time.
Well, I'm happy for you, man. You sound really proud.
I am actually very proud about that. For no reason, but I am actually quite proud.
No, it's all good.
Like if I can't play the tournament, I need to find my win somewhere else.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's kind of how I feel about it.
Well, the good thing I'll say here about the Magyars is that the units we've been seeing fight for map control, which has been so important in these games, they have the extra attack upgrades on, right?
True.
So the cheaper scouts,
Pikes, Lycav,
yeah, and then the spearmen. So if you're playing that type of a game, you can hold off the Dravidians a little bit longer. I think where it gets problematic is that the Dravidians have the better economy, receiving plus 200 wood in each age, and then they have the very cheap barracks upgrades. So it is easier for them to fully max out on infantry, on top of having stronger infantry in general. But
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Dravidians can be awkward. Like if the plan gets stalled, kind of like what happened with Vinch in the previous game, Dravidians can feel really awkward. So I think Magyars and lots of map control for Winchester could do something here.
Yeah, and we might see a more conventional fight for relic style from the Magyars here as well. Just to make use of the scouts, get all the relics in. Unless he's scared of Dravidians getting too out of control with their quick boom, Tato should probably give up the relics and just go for the boom himself, to be honest, though. Because
yeah, agreed.
If Magyars have the relics, sure, their late game prowess is really strong. But if Tato just gets a good boom, he can easily win an early imp with Halb, with skirms, like faster firing skirms, and then just a few trebs and bomber cannons. You'd really snowball out of control. And then even if Magyars had the relics, they don't have the time simply to get to the top tier units.
But what we've seen in this series is a slow progression away from prioritizing relics early.
True.
Which is really interesting because it's the same thing that happened in the Winchester Veleza series. The Valis Tato series was a little bit different, but yeah, I really feel like I'm a little stuck if I'm the Magyars, because on one hand, you don't want to try and boom against the Dravidians because the Dravidians will have the better boom. But on the other hand, you don't want to necessarily play like heavy scouts into pikeman civ. I don't know. But my approach here is I make that stable. And if my opponent adds nothing in the middle, I'm like, good. They will eventually have to. And then maybe there's even a world where you could siege push or something. I don't know.
I see what you mean. Like, you just make the strong unit, you get the relics, and then the unit will get value eventually. Like, your opponent will have to come out. So that's kind of like a consistent way. Although I think what Winchester will go for here is to boom first, like 3TC, and then add the staple after. I feel like that's kind of what's worked best for him. But I don't hate your approach either. Like, I feel like that's something that I would enjoy doing as well. Get the relics and then just try to adapt from there. Have all the vision with the scouts, and a lot of things can happen if you just open like that.
There is a period where, and I found this in my games, where when your opponent is investing into the economy more than you, but you've already gone for scouts, let's say, ooh, look what Tato's doing.
Yeah, that's sick. Oh my god, that's so sick.
Okay, so 10 villagers in each villager, or 10 gold in each villager's hand, finishes the lumber camp, you get the 30 gold. So this is a boom build for him, and he's
selling 100 wood, and that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, but then wait, what? Then he goes for the mining camp?
Yeah, wait, what?
That's not part of the plan? Okay, I guess. I mean, fair enough. I guess he just wants one villain in the mining camp. But either way, it's going to be probably a boom build for Tato. And a little pause here. And Winchester's going to gold. Pretty standard stuff from him. But he's going up 26 pop.
I think he goes scouts on that.
Yeah. Do you know how to read arena builds? Like, is this a scout build? I think it is.
Yeah. Four farms, 26 pop is going to be scouts, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I think if you boom, you can literally do it on 24 pop. With,
what's actually interesting is the fact that the player who gets plus 200 wood has gone 8 on wood with Tato. I guess he's going to use the market, but if anything, Tato could have gone up 2 population faster if he's just booming.
And you don't need the second lumber, especially with the situation. I'm just not sold on that.
5 farms also makes me think that Tato might actually try and go
like
for the barracks. Yeah, because he's gonna get he's gonna have the wood for the barracks, and then he's definitely gonna have the wood for everything else after that, and he's got more food eco. So, but to complete my thought, there's this point in games sometimes where your opponent's ahead in eco. So let's say you're on. You have map control with scouts. They had added nothing. And you're like, okay, they must be on 3 TCs. A lot of players will say, okay, I need to pressure then. But if you do that, then they have had a Vil lead for too long. Then it can become problematic. So you're like, okay, at least I need my second TC, right? But I also need the monastery to get relics. And then still you're under you're like, oh, do I make the siege workshop? Because if I do, it probably won't work. And then you go for the 3rd TC eventually. Like, that's the progression of the thought process. So it's really tough. As much as I'd love to see light cav, and if Tato does nothing, to see a siege push, sometimes the siege push is just too little too late.
Yeah, I feel like the siege push actually is what sets you so far behind, because the light cav gets value for sure. Siege push doesn't necessarily get value, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like if you just go light cav, you're going to be like 10, 15 Vils behind by the time you get your 3rd TC, but you have 5 relics and you have the map. So, whereas if you siege push, then you're like 20, 25 Vils behind, and that's just a little too much unless you find some crazy kills. But yeah, that's kind of how I see that playing out.
Tato's wood count's going to be insane here. He has 300 wood after placing his buildings. So when he makes it to the next age, he's going to have like 700 wood.
Yeah, that's nuts. But I feel like if you have that bonus, just go up 2 pop earlier and just get the first TC down earlier, like get the boom going faster.
Agreed.
So maybe a little bit of inefficiency here from him. And we see a stable. Okay, so we are seeing stable blacksmith from Winchester. So for the first time in the series or in a while, we're seeing a classical scouts and monastery play on arena here.
Tato may consider spearman monk still, because you don't need the barracks as part of your build. So we could see a barracks and then 1 monastery, so he gets some relics. But that feels like we're going back 4 games, right? Like, there's definitely a new meta here that they're just like, we get the relics with scouts, or we don't get the relics at all. No in between.
Yeah, exactly. And that sounds correct to me as well. In between strategies and RTS just never work, or never should work, right?
Yeah.
Commitment's super important.
Okay, so Tato invests into a lot of farms. So when he does have his town centers, he's going to have food eco flying. He will get the plus 200 wood when he arrives to Castle Age. He's already working with about 250. It'll probably be more like 350 or 100. So the TCs will come up immediately for Tato. It probably doesn't make sense for him to make any monks because of the Magyar scouts out in the field.
Yeah. At this point, Tato's completely given up all the relics for the extra economy, and Winchester's going to get all the relics and the map for obviously a slower development. And that makes for the most interesting games, I believe. So that's cool.
Tato has more farms than the scout player, which is wild. So his boom is going to be as smooth as it gets. And he also came out now with the scout. I'm not sure I like that. I know what he's trying to do. I know he wants to be able to use the scout to kill monks and get whatever value he can, but at least go out when your opponent is going to have a monk on the field.
Yeah, you should go out and castle.
Not right now.
And you should also sneak out. You can't go out where you get spotted, but small mistake from Tato, loses the scout, and lost a little too early there. But, life continues on. He goes to the PTC. Won't surprise me if you see double eco upgrade come in as well.
Yep. And now if you're going to siege push, you have to make the decision to do it right away, or you don't do it at all. And I actually look at Vinch. He goes, actually, I will go TCs first, monastery later.
Ooh. That's an in-betweener, though. I kind of like it, though. I guess you get the map control. I don't know why he made 4 scouts, though. I think just 1, like making 1 is enough. But, Tato goes 4th TC. Wow, okay.
Big boom.
That explains him upping later.
This is why my brain always says just go siege push. But it's just, I think it's so bad because players just hold and they have a bigger eco than you.
It's so risky. Like, you don't know what he's doing, right? So
yeah, their Dravidian economy is just so good. And then with this meta of going pikemen into a forward castle, the cheaper pike upgrade, and the strong infantry is so good for them too.
Tato's getting a heavy plow and 40C. This is literally as greedy as it gets, but I like it because he's making use of the Dravidian bonus. So Now it makes sense that he upped later. The build felt pretty smooth after all, and he's completely locked into the strategy. And I wouldn't be surprised if Winchester tries to launch some sort of late castlage push once he sees like nothing coming out of Tata for a while.
If Tata wins this game, it was not this game that won him the tournament. It was the flaming camel play in the previous game, right?
Yeah,
because like Magyar's, it just nothing's flowing for me, right? You've got the scouts, but then you don't want to get the relics because then you're going to be behind an eco, so you don't even really benefit from the scout play. Like Vinch is just out of ideas because of his Civ, but Khmer was Vinch's third pick. So that's if Tata wins. It was all about those flaming camels, baby. I'm all about the narratives, guys.
Yeah, of course. You just switch them in the YouTube video. Like this, the flaming camel game is the last game. Like, forget about it. Just rewrite the history. But we see the forward build from Winchester though, so he's gonna go for the siege push idea.
Yeah, you have to try something. So I like it. There were many examples throughout even the final here with the two best arena players right now, where mistakes have been made when pressure comes in. So do something. Do you go for a Mangonel though, or do you go for a Ram here in Vinch's shoes?
I think Mangonel, because you don't have a monk, so you can't. If you go Ram, the guy just walls behind. It has to be Mangonel.
Okay.
And he'll probably go Monastery after Mangonel. So Mangonel first, then Monastery. Yeah, there you go.
I like that a lot. Vinch is also on Stone. It feels like the timing's a bit weird there, unless he wants a 4th TC eventually, which would be hard to pull off, but it's worth noting he is on Stone. Tato is as well, but that makes more sense, right? If you receive pressure, you're building up towards a defensive castle.
If he goes for the 4th TC, that means he's like forever castlage. That means he's not hitting Imp anytime soon.
Yeah.
But I don't strike, like, that doesn't strike me as a style. But I do agree that Mining Stone from now is a little early. Maybe he's building up to like a slow burner and then he'll get a castle eventually. Tato's already picking up a build lead though. 10 vills up here.
10 vills up, and his farms have so much more food on them because of this build. And the Vil lead will continue to grow. And Tato doesn't see the siege yet, but he's adding a barracks and a monastery at a time where he feels like, okay, we've got to branch out, take the map. It's going to be really tough for Winchester to break here. But he's actually going for an archer range with some archers right now.
Wow, okay. So he really feels like he needs... But again, it comes down to like just not having a whole lot of options or a prepared strategy.
Yeah.
So now he's gonna just throw something really weird at Tato and hope it lands. But I don't hate it because you know what? Tato can naturally make pikemen and he can actually make monks to defend this. And I feel like archers counter both those units quite well. But we see Tato now adding an archer range, which is also weird.
Tato told me that Dravidian elephant archers are really OP and really underrated many months ago. Now, we both have had about 3 beers at that point, but I trust Tato with his strategy talks, regardless of how sober we are. So
fair.
I think that he has a lot of faith in the elephant archers. Yep.
Maybe a little too much here. I'm not sure if I like that. But I think randomly against what Vinch is just making is going to be really good because Vinch will need for sure a monastery to deal with those guys.
Yeah, and Vinch isn't gone for monastery, and Tato knows that because he doesn't see the relics are gone. So he's like, oh, he doesn't have monks. Because otherwise he would have picked up relics. Right? Is that why he can go elephant archers? Because he knows his opponent doesn't have monks?
I don't think so. I think he's just doing it because he thinks it's a good unit to push back with.
Okay.
He's going to go pike and then elephant archers, and that's how he's going to push back.
Okay. Well, it would be a good idea to maybe scout the other side of the base of your Vinch, because you're expecting pikeman siege. You're not expecting elephant archers.
Yeah.
I'm still not sold on elephant archers right now. I think it's good in late game. When you have a big economy, but it doesn't feel like the timings will be that good right now.
I agree. I think it's a little early. They're super expensive, and they die to monks. But now Winchester shows the archers. He's got crossbow and fletching. And this is a hard composition to stop. Winchester has one of every unit, pretty much.
Yep. And he's holding the map control, but...
Oh my god!
Big attack round there! And now Tato, all he's going to have left is elephant archers, but now the siege will engage for both players, and big hits there for Tato. This is going to put this push to bed.
Yeah, that's good enough. That's good enough for Tato.
Yep.
It started out really good for Vinch, but just that one Mangonel was good enough. Mangonel could get away? No, guys. Okay.
Oh, and the units can't leave because the elephants are so fat.
That's crazy.
This is amazing.
That was the play. That was sick.
Tato killed elephants in the previous game. He's the master of the elephants in this game. What is this?
Bro, he's the guy. The university going down. He's preparing to go to Imp. And he's preparing to go maybe Halb, Elephant Archers is the composition here. That sounds hella scary. That sounds really, really powerful.
Yep, and now 4 TC for Vinch. He's like, well, we're going to be making lots of army here. Might as well. I don't think that's a bad play. I also like how he's trying to grab the relics back to his base while he still can.
Yeah, just doing whatever play comes naturally is what Vinch is just going to go for here. He's down 15 bills. His push kind of failed, but he still has some control in the middle of the map. And Tato's getting supplies, by the way. He's preparing some champions. This is full masterpiece from him. He's going Elephant Archer and Champion with the Dravidians.
This is for all the Dravidian haters right here, all right? Tato's like, oh, I know you guys probably like Magyars. Let me show you the power of the Dravidians. And within the context of this, this draft, and within the context of this game and the matchup against the Magyars, I think everything has gone according to plan for Tato. I mean, he would not have dreamed of being able to also get relics behind all this.
I will say, I think the men-at-arms and the longswords before Imp doesn't make any sense. Go Imp first, then go for it.
Listen, it looks really cool. Okay.
Okay. Like,
it looks really
people are loving it right now.
Right?
Okay.
But yes, you're right. I agree that maybe clicking Imp first makes sense.
Yeah.
And he's gonna, build a castle there outside of his walls. I think there is still some level of worry because he hasn't had an active scout, so he doesn't know exactly what Vinch is committing to, which we always do. But he's imping now. Vinch is nowhere near imp, and I'd hate to be Vinch right now, dude, because I do not know what more he should try to do right now.
Yeah, and even if he builds up a composition. What does he go for? Skirms into CA?
Yeah.
That takes forever to boil down and get something substantial in the field.
And
he's going to drop a castle?
Elephant Archers counter Cav Archers. I'm not sure about recurve boat, but Elephant Archers are so much tankier and have so much more pierce armor. So if it's a closed map scenario where everything's really clumped up and you have to address the Elephant Archers, the Cav Archers won't cut it.
Also, I think Elephant Archer with a few skirms mixed in will absolutely dominate Cav Archers, for sure. So when you consider how the composition works, it's going to be really nice. Tato's now getting more and more longswords out, and he's doing something that I've loved in every single game I've seen him do it in. 2 P-Tarts, we've got the army, we can break in, do a Castle Age push right before we actually go for an Imperial Age push. It's such a good idea, I love this.
Vinch sees the longswords, and he goes, oh my god, he's all in Castle Age. I have a chance. I've got good knights. We're going to make knights against this, and then that's our way back into this game. He's also micring as good as he possibly can away from the siege, but good luck killing these Elephant Archers. It's not going to be easy. Kills enough of them, though, to feel happy.
Yeah, that's
but when he sees Imp, though, that's where he really feels like,
that's
oh god.
So scary. And it's the kind of thing where Winchester also could have went Imp, decided to stay in Castle to commit to like some army. Maybe he sees Imp and he stays full Castle Age. Maybe he just goes Knights and CA.
Actually,
or like half CA.
You have to stay, right? You have to stay.
Yeah, you have to.
Try and go
I
Imp,
think so, yeah.
You're done anyways. So all-in Knights is the only thing I could really suggest for him.
And actually, the all-in Knights counters the P-Tart play. So like the P-Tarts breaking in doesn't really matter because we want to fight him anyways. Now Imperial comes in. Let's see if that changes Vince's strategy at all.
Oh man, he's got 6 Knights. 4 Knights now. The Elephant Archers have done enough. There's 20 longswords. They're going to be 2-handed swordsmen. These techs are cheaper. Halb is on the way too. We said when it was 3-1 for Vinch that it's so difficult to win 3 straight against players at this level and in a final. And Tato just turned it on, and it looked rough for him in the Burgundian game here. Like mentally, it looked like even in like the Turk-Ethiopians game that maybe Tato was kind of wavering a little bit.
I felt like Tato underperformed in those 2 games in particular, like compared to his usual standard, but then overperformed in the last 3 games.
Yeah.
The last 2 games. Yeah, and I think that him getting the confidence from winning that Burgundian game, despite things going wrong, I think that just helped him turn it up a level in those last 2 games. And my god, was it a fantastic showing. Continues to put on the pressure here. Blast Furnace coming in. He's got the perfect infantry composition with a few Elephant Archers mixed in. What does Winchester have? He's still stuck in Castle Age.
But I should say, Tato, you shouldn't lose this trap. Like, absolutely do not lose this trap.
Yeah, no. He's got the helps.
You know, like, forward castle's good, but I'd like to see the castle near the trap. Right near the other castle, right near the stone. That's the safe play. But he might feel like he's kind of got, he could do both. He can take out the castle and then castle the other side as his halbs completely shred those knights from Vinch.
Halberd Knight is the most satisfying thing in AoE2, I think, or one of them.
I don't know. I'm
Definitely
pretty
top
sure
5.
flaming camels on ballista
Elephants.
is
That
way
was
better.
sick too. Yeah, that was sick too.
Thumb ring now. Oh, he's making crossbows. But hey, guess what, guys? Magyars have extra vision on their foot archers, so.
Oh, +2 range. That's really good.
There
Actually,
we go,
using the
baby.
bonuses, I like that. Yeah.
You can see the enemy before they kill you.
Damn, feels bad, man. Bracer coming in now as well from Tato, so he's gonna have not only the infantry comp, he's also setting up the range transition, whether it's elephant archer or skirmisher, also helps his castles. This is unstoppable here. This is unstoppable. I think this push just doesn't shake.
Yeah. And Tato is going to have all the golds outside of Vinch's base locked down. So Winchester will have no advantages there. There's going to be population problems for Vinch as he's losing castles. Production problems as he's losing buildings. And his units are also running into some of Tato's castles here or there. So he's going to take losses due to that. And truthfully, I don't know what more Vinch could have done here, honestly. If he full booms, I think he holds a little bit more. But the way Tato played this, with the civilization that he had, very tricky for Winchester and was always going to be tricky for Winchester in this game.
I actually liked the approach Winchester did. I think the crossbow was interesting. It actually countered the pikes, but then he had to like completely outplay Tato with the siege in his base, and unfortunately just didn't play out for that for him like that.
And Elephant Archer was actually really clutch. Right? If it was just Pike Siege, that could go differently. So Tato just, he has really good understanding of unique situations in this game. There are times where we've looked at Tato over the years and we've said, that was too outside the box. That was too creative. There's a meta for a reason. But then there are moments like this where you just got to think about those freaking flaming camels, baby. And then look at these Dravidian Elephant Archers in combination with all the infantry.
Yeah, I think Tato did a great job of playing what the meta was, like playing just the most effective strategy, but then also adding a little spice, a little flavor to it, and coming up with these unique approaches. And that's like the perfect player to have, to be honest. So if he keeps that up, I mean, he beat Viper 3-0 in this tournament. He beat Winchester down the finals. He went through Ballast, who took out some big names. He had quite the run, in my opinion, this tournament.
Yep, and against Viper, it was even more out of the box, too. Like 2 castle pushes, lots of petards, and poor Winchester, it was a good run. He played amazing in this tournament, right? You can't say he didn't. But it's obvious to everyone but maybe him right now. I'm sure it is obvious to him as well that his road ends here and he will be second place in Masters of Arena 7.
Yeah, yeah. But again, still a great result from him. Well done to both these players. And now at this point, we're just seeing Tato flexing up a little bit. Medical Corps coming in. Elephant Archer's diving deep. He knows he's won this game and he knows he's gonna just be able to completely destroy Vinch's
Look how
entire
fast
base.
they fire, man. Look how fast they fire.
They're so good.
Yeah, it's a faster firing speed. Other ones will have like conversion resistance or bonus damage resistance, like Bengalis. But Dravidian Elephant Archers arguably get more value because you already have a lot of HP on the Elephant Archer. And the firing speed, the damage output is so much greater.
Yeah. GG, congrats. Well done. Congrats to Tato. I'm really happy for him, to be honest.
Yeah, he played amazing. I'd love to see players win with out-of-the-box strategies and creative strategies, and Tato was able to do that in the best of ways with the Flaming Camels, but also using the Dravidians here. We have seen Dravidians picked a lot on Arena, and we did not see Magyars drafted very frequently in this tournament, and I think we saw why. I know that there were also some rules and bans here or there, but you just can't get late game if you have no early bonuses on Arena, right? And we saw that here for Vinch.
And dude, it comes back like Winchester had Mayans. If he just went Mayans in a matchup that wasn't Dravidians, they would be completely fine on Arena.
Yep.
But he saved them to the end, ran into the situation where if he goes Mayans, it's 100% versus Dravidians, and he didn't want to play that matchup. Plays Magyars, a very weak Arena civ. And yeah, unfortunately just kind of gets destroyed. Now we had the Elephant Archer on the way. Like this Dravidian comp was not easy to stop at all.
Yeah. Congratulations, Tato. And again,
Well done.
congratulations, Vinch. And dude, I really enjoyed the cast today. It was a good time.
Dude, I loved it. Thank you so much for joining me, and thanks for allowing me to join you as well. And yeah, man, that's hopefully more in the future as well.
Yeah. All right, cool. See you in the next Masters of Arena, right?
Hopefully, or not. Take it easy, my bro. I'll see you around.
See ya.
Laters.